whether it's nuclear-powered or nuclear-armed.
I mean, for those of us who are old enough to remember what it's like living through the Cold War, insults like this were exchanged all the time. And then look what happened historically. Thank goodness nothing ever happened. But is this a different world now where these sort of insults being traded, submarines being sent halfway across the world, is life different now, and could it be more dangerous?
Look, it could be. I actually think you're 100% right. I think it's less dangerous. And again, I could be being naive or shucks about it. I'm really happy that stuff is playing out in social media. I'm much happier that this is playing out in the open. If you think of the little skirmishes that we experienced during the Cold War, we might not know for days that something had actually happened and that brinksmanship had been taking place, because it was such a shrouded information exchange between the superpowers. Now everything's playing out in real time on social media, and I think it de-escalates in real time much more quickly than perhaps it used to. So I'm actually, a giddy optimist as far as this stuff's concerned. I do think this is a show of strength about the fact that Trump wanted Putin to play ball and give him some red meat, give him some concession about Ukraine, give him some promise of a ceasefire. And as he hasn't, I think he's pretty peeved and is prepared to keep escalating. And obviously, the threat of sanctions doesn't seem to have really rattled Russia at this point.
What's very odd, though, when you look at since Trump got into power with all of this, I mean, we've gone from President Zelensky being the man who was being, in effect, blamed for this situation when he was in the White House and being ridiculed in the White House to now the shoe being on the other foot.
Well, quite. And look, it also gives the lie to the idea that Trump is Putin's puppet as well. So I think that there's a lot of preconceptions that we might have held even a few months ago, where, yes, we are now looking at, like I said, Trump made great store by being the friend of world leaders and being friends and being able to reach out to Putin. I will solve this war on day one, etc. And so just on a PR level, and I'm not trying to be flippant about Trump's sincerity, but on a PR level, he does look slightly emasculated by not being able to deal with Putin as effectively as perhaps he had once promised. And as I said, Zelensky now is looking more like the reasonable broker. He's looking more like the honest broker than perhaps he was initially portrayed by the Trump administration.
OK, Paul Duddridge, good to see you. Thank you.
I must say, it is extraordinary what can happen in just a few weeks at the moment, isn't it?
Oh.
Right, let's move on to domestic politics, really. The NHS has been accused of handing out what they're calling free passes to almost 1 million asylum seekers. That's over the last 5 years.
Well, figures reveal an array of NHS services, including free prescriptions, dental care and travel to appointments, were issued between 2019 and 2024.
And this revelation comes after Donald Trump raised concerns about free speech in this country, following reports that Whitehall was allegedly spying on those who were critical of migration problems.
Let's talk to former political advisor Lauren McKevitt, who's here. Good to see you, Lauren, as always. There's got to be some level of care, of course, of people who are seeking asylum in this country. I mean, that's the reality of it. But this, at a time when people can't get appointments, people are really struggling, it just stings beyond belief, actually.
I think it's really important how we classify things like this and where blame gets laid. This is obviously, it's a Sun article, the one that I've been pointed to this morning, talking about the NHS handing these things out. The NHS has the low-income scheme because it has a legal obligation to provide support to those on low incomes in the free prescription eye test, travel to appointments sphere. And the difficulty with that is if the NHS is just meeting its legal obligation, which we all know from the amount of lawfare that's gone on over the course of the last 5-6 years or so, they would be being dragged through the courts by Liberty or somebody if they weren't doing this. This, and we're looking at the dates in question, 19 to 24.
So under the Tories.
This is a Conservative government immigration problem that has blown up. And if I was a betting woman, which I only am during Cheltenham Week, I would say that this is the Labour government attempting to release yet another piece of information that is dangerous to the Conservatives' reputation on immigration.
But the follow-up question that any journalist should ask is, are we still doing it now?
And the answer to this is probably because the legal obligation has not gone away. And this forms part of a difficulty with how do we deal with migration, illegal migration that is in the sort of the asylum sphere, when you have people who are going to automatically be on a low income because they can't earn while they're here. I think what's really going to burn about this story for voters the most is the. So I don't think it's going to be it's the sort of £233 on eye tests and glasses. I don't think that's going to do it. It's the unlimited dentistry that I think is really going to irritate people, because that's something where people up and down this country, and in this country, I'm talking about England, they haven't broken down the statistics, as far as I can tell, into the 4 NHSs, but we must presume that it is the 4 NHSs. But the number of people in England who can't get hold of a dentistry appointment and can't register with a dentist and aren't anywhere near a dentist that will
and there are tales
register.
of people pulling their own teeth.
Exactly. That's the bit of this that's really going to burn. And I think, this is a story that is going to make the Conservatives look bad.
I mean, the other thing is that we don't know with this, and it's people won't like me for saying it, but we don't know out of these figures how many are asylum seekers who have gone through legal channels and how many have come here illegally.
I think because of the income thresholds that exist within the visa system, it's likely to be balanced in one direction over another, which I think is balanced towards people who have come through irregular routes versus regularised routes. But I am speculating at that. But I would say, as if I was guessing, that the income thresholds that exist within the visa system now would tilt it that direction.
But it also makes it look like, doesn't it? It's this whole idea of Britain being a soft touch.
Absolutely.
Come over here, get your teeth fixed.
And this is what France has been complaining to us about, is stop looking like such a good option. Like, you've got to stop making it so that people can work illegally here so easily, which is harder to do in France because of the ID systems that they have and their social insurance melded model of how their health system works means that things like this don't exist in the same way. And it's beginning to make us look like, the fair island across the seas.
And it's not just people at home who are, some might say, whinging about the fact they can't get a dentist appointment, they can't get a doctor's appointment, why should these people? It's actually the objective view of Macron, and by the sound of it, Trump as well.
Absolutely. I think, I think Trump's view is going to be you should be allowed to talk about it.
Yes.
Rather than you should be allowed to have free dentist appointments for everybody else, because we know that that's not how the American system really works. And the slashing he's just done to Medicaid would indicate that he probably wouldn't fall down on this particular side of the argument.
No.
But the Macron side, absolutely. This is the, UK, you are behaving like a soft touch, and you've got to stop doing that because it's encouraging people across the
And is
town.
there any evidence at all that Keir Starmer has listened to that and has taken it on board?
Well, he did say a couple of days ago that he was going to take a more active role in policy. Which is nice to hear from a Prime Minister. I don't know quite what he's been taking an active role in so far, if it hasn't been that. But it's good to see he's showing up, better late than never, and it's really nice he showed up at all.
Mind you, we've got to be very careful how we, if we should tweet about this.
Yes, we're all going to be on the Prevent programme, aren't we?
Because it's this. I mean, what do we make? I was talking to the government yesterday.
There'll be a special GB News unit, won't there?
Well, it will be. But this idea that our tweets are being monitored. He spoke to a minister yesterday. Said, no, that's not the case. They're not being monitored, but we do need to be aware of.
But we do need to monitor them.
But yes, I don't understand it. But then the Home Office last week saying they were launching an elite police unit to look at anti-migration tweets.
Based on policing performance over the course of the last 10 years, that's a fairly oxymoronic statement to have come out with.
It's crazy. I don't understand what they're actually doing or for why.
So what's interesting here, and a layman looking at what Donald Trump has said over the course of the last 24 hours would say, well, the UK, of course, does not have a right to free speech in the way that the United States does. That's actually untrue, because we have Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights and the Human Rights article from 1998 that translates that into domestic law. And so I wonder if at some point this government are heading towards an Article 10 referral to ECHR, because there is a right to freedom of expression, that there is a right to freedom of association within Article 10. And they're tipping awfully far towards, upsetting that a little bit. And what I find so fascinating about what's happened over the course of the last week with the age restrictions and the challenges to free speech through the elite unit is how much of this is done under the guise of protecting children who they have just allowed to vote. So there's a big group between 16 and 18 who will be shielded from viewing information online that could change how they are going to vote.
Oh, my goodness.
And they will not be able to view it because of the age-restricted nature. Now, the intention was pornography. There is a laudable intention at the heart of this, absolutely, but they've taken a sledgehammer to a problem that is very big and very nefarious. But the end result is going to be restrictions on content on X, and the ministers are saying, well, it was never designed to do that. No, but you've set Ofcom off, or you've set the Ofcom hair coursing, and there's no pulling them back. And Ofcom are basically quite underprepared for the amount of internet regulation they now have to do, which is only a change that I think is about 18 months old. And they are utterly unprepared for it. We know they're woefully unprepared for the broadcasting regulation that they have to do. And so we'll also know that they're going to be bad at the online regulation they now have to do.
All right, Lauren, we shall see you a little bit later on. Thank you very much indeed.
But I bet we've probably got to tell you what the official line is from the NHS. They say the NHS is legally required to provide healthcare services to asylum seekers, including access to help with health costs through the NHS Low Income Scheme. On the issue of free speech, a government spokesman said free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy. The Online Safety Act protects it. However, we make no apologies for flagging to platforms content which is contrary to their own terms of service and which can result in violent disorder on our streets.
Right, at 22 minutes past 6, a US jury has ruled Tesla partially responsible for the death of a young woman struck by a car on autopilot in Florida. Now, Tesla blamed the driver, who admitted he was distracted by his phone when the car ran a red light. But jurors decided Tesla's shared fault for allowing it to operate on roads it wasn't designed for. Tesla says it's going to appeal.
Italy's controversial deal to process asylum seekers in Albania has been dealt a major setback. The European Court of Justice ruled that Italy's definition of a safe country breaches EU law. The judgment has been met with fury from Rome, with critics arguing it weakens border controls.
And a fish and chip shop in Kent has made global headlines by selling Britain's most expensive meal, or chippy meal at least, for £65. It's Archie's Fish and Chips in Thanet. It's serving a mammoth 2-kilo battered cod, as it's a big fish meal. It's designed for 4 people. Of course, it comes at a time when soaring costs are putting pressure on the sector nationwide.
Looks a good meal, though.
65 quid for 4 people is not really any more expensive than anywhere else at the moment.
Yeah.
For a chippy. Chippies are quite expensive now, but
they are.
As
they're
a
worthwhile
treat,
if you
it's
find
worth
a good
it.
one. Oh,
we've got one near us, which is just
brilliant,
fantastic.
Isn't it? It's a long way for me to drive.
Oh, yeah.
But I would. You can't bring it in. That's the trouble with fish and chips.
No,
it
it doesn't
has to be
reheat.
eaten freshly cooked, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. Where you burn your fingers almost.
Oh, yeah. And lots of scraps. You need lots of scraps. Oh, it's got me going. I might have one tonight.
Yes. OK, well, I'll drive up to yours.
Yeah, all right. You've got a deal. Right. Shall we see what the weather's going to do for you today? Here's Aidan McGiven.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Floris arrives on Monday, but this weekend at least starts fine with sunny spells for many of us before some rain moves in overnight. Always the possibility of the odd shower across parts of eastern England through the day. Mostly, though, it's going to be a dry day. Sunny spells, yes, but a lot of cloud around as well, so not wall-to-wall sunshine by any stretch of the imagination. and it's going to feel pleasant out there even if temperatures aren't especially high. Average for the time of year, 24 Celsius in the south, 21 further north. Here's the cloud and rain as it thickens in the northwest, end of the afternoon going into the evening, but ahead of that, much of the cloud thins and disappears, so plenty of fine weather going into the evening. Still warm with light winds out there. If you've got Saturday evening plans, it's looking pretty decent across the whole of the UK. One exception, that rain starting to move into the Outer Hebrides. It's going to be light and patchy at first before some heavier stuff arrives overnight. And really, much of the wet weather turns up after dark, I think, into the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, on and off throughout much of the evening, but then turning heavier, more persistent after midnight. It spreads across much of Scotland, pushes into northern and western England as well as Wales, and it's going to be a mild night for most of us with temperatures holding up in the mid-teens. We do start off Sunday with some sunshine across East Anglia and the southeast, but this weather system is quick to topple southeastwards across the UK. A heavy spell of rain for northern England, North Wales, more showery for South Wales into southwest England, and then it moves into the Midlands, East Anglia, and eventually the southeast by the afternoon. Brighter skies further north with a few showers before it turns very windy as Storm Floris hits on Monday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Well, still to come. Do stay with us because Aidan's here at the edge of his seat. He'll have all your latest sporting news. Yeah, you're watching GB News Breakfast with Stephen and Anne this weekend.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, just like week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Yes, we did it.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. We couldn't have done it without you.
Absolutely not. It is down to each and every single one of you who chooses to watch us, to listen to us, and to be a part of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
This is just the beginning. Britain's #1 news channel.
Yes, indeed. I was watching while I was on holiday, and it was brilliant news to hear that GB News is now the most watched news programme, or at least it was during July.
Brilliant. It's
Really, congratulations
fantastic.
to everybody in the team.
I think it's the first time since 1997
That's
that the BBC hasn't been at the top.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that really is quite something. Thank you very much indeed. Aidan's here with the sport.
Absolutely.
What's happened? Something's just happened. You've got news.
Yeah, it's in the last hour or so. Sonny is off into the sunset. The sunsets, as we might call it. But this is a Tottenham striker who's been at Tottenham for 10 years.
Oh, captain, isn't he?
Captain, yeah, he is. He just lifted the Europa League trophy a couple of months ago against Manchester United. But a little bit of a tearjerker for the Tottenham fans because he arrived at the club from Borussia Dortmund in 2015. 173 goals in 454 appearances. Nobody from South Korea really made a huge intent, well, with the exception possibly of Ji-sung Park at Man United, but nobody had really blazed the trail from South Korea in quite the way that he has. And he's opened up opportunities for Tottenham as well in that part of the world. They're actually
he's a massive celeb, isn't he?
He is. Somebody was saying that they saw massive billboards of him at JFK Airport the other day.
Yeah.
But Tottenham are in Seoul at the minute, which means he'll probably play his last game against Newcastle in a few days' time. They're having these luxurious, lucrative, rather, pre-season friendlies over there. But yeah, I suppose it's still a bit of a shock. He's been there 10 years. He's 33 now, so he can't go on forever, I guess. And there've been signs that his level had been slightly sort of waning in the last year or two. But nonetheless, it's a little bit of a bitter one for a lot of Spurs fans to swallow this morning because he's a hugely popular player and he's been a brilliant servant for that club. But he's on his way out.
Yeah, well, at least he's leaving a hero.
Oh, without question. I mean, I think if you win a trophy like that was the whole thing of Tottenham. They hadn't won a trophy since 2008. When you finally do that, it just seems like a fitting time to leave. But he'll be missed from the Premier League because he's just one of those players for me who I really enjoyed watching play.
Yeah.
OK, what's with the Lions in Australia? They're playing today?
Yeah, they are 11 o'clock in Sydney. They're chasing a clean sweep. Now, I've checked in the records. It was done in when I say clean sweep, I mean the 3 Test matches, winning all 3. They've won 2 already, so they've won the series, but they can now just rub salt in the wounds to the Aussies, if you like. But it's the first time it could be done, well, technically since 1927, but it was different then because it wasn't always against Australia. There are other teams involved as well. New Zealand, I think, were involved in it, and probably South Africa as well. And this will be the first one as the British and Irish Lions, with the Irish element to it, because they've been the British and Irish Lions since 2001 when they toured Australia that year. But look, the incentive is certainly there. They want to be remembered as the best touring side, best Lions side ever, and they have an opportunity to do that. They haven't been at their absolute best so far, but they've more than been good enough to win the first 2 tests. No room for sentiment either. We had 2 changes from the previous side that won last Saturday. There were a couple of players who hadn't been involved in the series at all, and you're thinking to yourself, well, Andy Farrell will surely give them a go, otherwise it's been a bit of a wasted trip. But no, he wants to win this. It's about your best men out on the pitch at one time, and they're promising to get well, not promising, but they're saying if you reach for the stars, you might hit the moon. And but they can achieve that today, as I say. It's in Sydney. Huge crowd down under as well, and it'll be a wonderful way to finish the tour.
Oh, they will. They will.
The thing is, Alan and I were talking just earlier on, and we were saying how if we reverse this and said, OK, say it's just England at home up against a touring side which comprised of Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, South Africa, we'd all say it was a bit unfair, wouldn't we?
Yes, we would. It would be.
Let's not go down that path.
All right.
Come on.
Bit negative.
Which side are you on?
Well, don't know.
On the side
I know
of
I
the
am.
British and Irish
No, of course I
Lions
am,
is
of
what
course I
we're
am.
on.
Exactly.
Very briefly then, Emma Raducanu. She's done quite well, but she's out now.
Yeah, she got to the third round. This
it's
is
the Canadian Open.
Canadian Open in Montreal. Yeah, look, tough tournament. Look, good practice because she's notched up a couple of important wins, but she lost in straight sets to Amanda Anisimova, who got to the Wimbledon final just a few weeks ago.
Didn't I say last weekend when we were talking about this, she'll get to the third round?
No, I don't remember that at all.
And you went, oh, she'll do better than that. Oh.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah, but the important thing is she's breaking back. She's now.
Well, it's only a month or so until the US Open starts. So she's finding a bit of form at the right time. Look, it was 6-2, 6-1 yesterday, so it didn't go brilliantly on the night, but she did at least get past a few rounds, which I think a year ago that would have been out in the first round.
Yes, exactly, and she's not anymore.
That's the thing. Exactly.
Oh, you're softening towards.
I am trying to whitewash my previous criticism of her, I suppose. Well, I think it'd be lovely if she did well.
Yeah. Lots more to come in the next hour as well.
Stop it.
Lots more to come in the next hour as well. Keep my powder dry.
All right, good stuff. All right,
please do,
Aidan, thank you. Right. Guess what? It's time for our brand new Great British Giveaway. It's something we've all dreamed of, actually. The chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a whole year.
What I don't get is, what if you don't have a mortgage?
I don't know.
I imagine you still get the dosh, don't you? It comes to a whopping 20 grand, and plus you get 5 grand in tax-free cash. If you fancy a financial holiday for 12 whole months, here's all the details you'll need.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British Giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. It really is your chance to chill out and enjoy the coming year on us. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
What a weight off your mind that would be.
Wonderful.
No rent or mortgage for a whole year.
Would you go mad or would you be sensible?
Be sensible. Well,
Both, I think.
I think you should be sensible. You've got 5 grand in tax-free cash on top. You can go mad with that 5 grand.
Okay.
And then put whatever you were spending on rent or your mortgage, put that away. Save it for a rainy day.
Well, that takes a lot of, courage and
I don't know.
steadfastness,
That's brilliant.
discipline.
Brilliant.
But what would you do? Yeah.
Right, coming up for you in a moment, if I get my words out, we'll see what's making the news with Charlie Rowley and Matthew Torbett. That's coming up next.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm especially glad to be joined by Mandy this morning. Mandy with me here. How are you finding the challenge so far, Mandy?
It's all right so far because it's not too hot.
Yeah, that's a tremendous relief. And you're a veteran yourself, but also a beneficiary of SAFA, Mandy.
I am, yeah. I served 12 years in the Royal Air Force. And then SAFA supported myself and my son when my husband took his own life.
Yeah, it's a tremendously sad story. Your husband, Chris, himself a veteran suffering from PTSD after a tour in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, he suffered for a long time. So in 21 years, he did 15 tours. I mean, the support we got, it wasn't just life-changing, it was life-saving, which was so important at the time. And SAFA, they were strong for me, which meant that I could be strong for our son.
Yeah, and your son now 17, he must be so proud of his father's memory and your service as well.
I think so. We talk about his dad all the time, and it's very, very important that we keep his memory alive. So we're doing little things. So we've just got his name on a memorial wall at our local football club, which again is important because it shows Jamie that he'll always be remembered.
So beautiful. I think our viewers and listeners will be so touched by that. And as you're completing this march today, these 10 miles, you just saw some of the cadets behind us now. What are you thinking about as you make that march?
It's how many people come out to support the charity, which I think is so important, because without all our supporters, without our volunteers, you know, SAFA can't exist. And SAFA are there when people need them the most, and that needs to be able to continue. So without things like this and everyone supporting us, it won't.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
6:41, let's see what's in the papers with former Conservative advisor Charlie Rowley and former Labour advisor Matthew Torbett.
Ooh, ding dong.
Good morning. Good morning. Is that ding dong or ding dong? All right, Charlie, let's start with the Telegraph, should we? And it's about this decision that people aren't going to be able to get compensation for a car issue.
If they feel they've been missold.
Yes, and a slight reprieve, if ever there was one, you might think, for the government, who doesn't therefore have to pay or bail out what consumers were hoping for, where they have bought a car through a salesman or a dealership, not knowing that as part of that sale there is a commission cost attached to the dealership or the salesperson. But what is missing from the information and the detail from the buyer is how much money that you're spending will actually go on commission rather than the car. And when 8 out of 10 cars, I think, now are bought through loans of some kind, there was one particular case where I think somebody was awarded compensation. So that triggered off this whole market frenzy where thousands of other people thought that they might too be entitled to compensation. They had got through the court process to be deemed eligible. That's why the government was saving its pennies, what little pennies it has, when it stopped frittering it away on other things. It was planning to bail people out or to pay that compensation. But the Supreme Court yesterday ruled that actually people are not entitled to that compensation for commerciality and commercial reasons. People don't need to.
But this isn't going to go away, is it? I think people are still going to say, well, have I got a private case then? Could I sue? I mean, will the banks be liable? I mean, will it be as big as PPI still, no matter what the court has said?
Exactly. People feel they've been missold and the detail hasn't been there. And
these blooming adverts. I mean, how many years of PPI adverts did we have?
But where does it end? I mean, on house dealerships, perhaps, or any other kind of where you secure a loan to make a purchase of something, not knowing where all of that money's going to if a commission is involved.
But the court's opinion was that you should know if you go into a financial deal on anything really, you should
read
know
the
to
fine
ask
print.
questions, read the fine print. It always says it there. You should have asked.
Yeah, and we don't. But also, you know, the court, to paraphrase, said, you know, basically we all pursue selfish means, therefore, you know, people are always going to do that tough, which I think isn't right. I think if you're being sold something and it says in black and white, really, in big letters, that's what you're being sold, it shouldn't come down to there's a little bit of fine print. If you're being sold something, you should be buying what you think you're being sold. And it's letting down people.
But is it because people are happy with the price they're paying? Ultimately, otherwise they wouldn't agree to it. And what fairyland are they living in that they think people aren't making money out of it. Because if
Well, that was the court's opinion.
I think
sort of
you can
agree, really.
appreciate people who'd make profit on things. I suppose it's naughty if there's add-ons that you weren't really quite aware of at the time. I think partly, like Charlie said, I think this is because, you know, most of the world now is on tick. There's going to be loads of this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get it. It'd be frustrating in a way, but I sort of think, what did we think we were signing up for, really?
You're tough.
No, well, I know, but I mean, I've had these deals, but I then wouldn't look at this and go, well, I'm going to examine whether I could claim back.
Oh, I would.
You know, however much money it is.
Daft.
Well, because you end up doing it through these lawyer companies who then take their cut of it, don't they? I mean, it's all lawyers going through it all. Matthew, The Telegraph, looking at working class interns only for the civil service.
Yeah, I think it's going to start after 2026. This is the Civil Service Fast Stream, which I think there is an element already of granting places to people from different backgrounds, whether that be working class, whether that be ethnic minorities and such like. I am a believer, I think, that you should have the best people. Unfortunately, that seems to be sort of liberal, middle-class, privately educated poshos. And the reason why I would be in favour of this... no offence, Charlie. But the problem is...
And I'm sure.
I'm off. The problem is, and actually I echo something Danny Dyer said in an interview the other week, that the working class should run the country, which sounds very glib, and, you know, you would say that, Matthew, coming from the background you come from. The country's in a mess, and therefore is it a bad idea to try something a little bit different from people who may or may not have a little bit more life experience than some of the professional graduates that we end up with?
I just don't know that you can be that glib about it. I certainly think you should say there should be proper working class experience in a lot of places, but to say, oh, they should run the country or they should be running the civil service, it's not that black and white, is it? It's not either or.
No, but I think at the moment, who's letting these people in? And are they being let in?
Well, there's definitely an old boys' club, isn't there?
Yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah, but what is working class anyway?
Well, this is the problem.
Me and Matthew, basically.
Good lads from up north. No, this is the problem. I've questioned, you know, am I really still working class?
Yes.
Lots of people I've spoken to said, well, it's a values-based thing.
No, apparently they're going to judge that on what your parents were doing when you were 14.
Yes, and it will be receptionists and plumbers and other sort of labour-type roles. I don't think it's that simple.
No, it's not that
When you enter things like class, which I think can be quite fluid, you're going to make a mockery of some people who go, well, I am working class.
Yeah, you are.
School meals, but
you are working
ultimately
class.
my mum and dad might have had not these jobs, therefore I wouldn't qualify. So,
Okay,
it's
is Paul McCartney working class? He would say so.
Yeah, he probably would.
That was
So
his
would Danny
background.
Dyer. They're both multimillionaires and live different lifestyles now.
But that's in their blood. Working class is their blood. That's what they would say.
I think there's a lot to be said for that.
It's tricky. It's tricky.
Go on. You've got about 10 seconds, Charlie.
Oh, right.
Well, right of reply, of course.
It's ridiculous.
Come on, Posho.
Totally ridiculous. Who is responsible for this problem? It is the civil service, and it's not about the person. By the way, when you've been encouraged, by the way, someone might be from a working class background to go to university and get a degree to then go into the civil service, which people do. But the reality is, it's about recruiting people who have got the skills and the talent for the jobs that are needed. And there are many doers in the country, like people from working class backgrounds, that do need jobs that could be filled in the civil service. It's a civil service problem. It is not a graduate or background or class problem.
That's the longest 10 seconds I've ever heard in my life.
Well,
Charlie, thank you very much indeed. More from these two in just a moment. First, if you want some holiday sun, here's a European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst the UK gears up for Storm Floris, it turns increasingly hot in Portugal, although there'll be some heavy rain in Croatia and Italy, particularly the central part of Italy. Thunderstorms expected here, thunderstorms moving through parts of Croatia and Bosnia. But for much of Iberia, it's sunny spells and increased heat. Higher temperatures than average for much of Portugal. And that's expected to continue into the start of next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here We do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Right, we're still looking through the papers with former, Conservative advisor Charlie Rowley and former Labour advisor Matthew Torbett. Let's look at Mick Jagger, who's done some sort of interview in the Mail on Sunday. No, sorry, it's not Sunday, the Mail on Saturday. He's 82 and he's hinting that he'd really quite like to be a dad again, and particularly his partner, who's 44 years younger than him, would like to be a mum again.
It's an interesting one. It's, yes, I think on the back of it, is it his 82nd birthday he just had, or coming up to? There's a big party.
So is 82 too old to become a father again?
Yeah, really. I think you think about the traumatic impact that it can have when you lose a father at a young age. And the likelihood is, I'm not killing off Mick Jagger this morning, but, you know, 82 is an old age. He's lived a hell of a lifestyle. He'll do well to make 92.
Yeah,
that kid. That's
just being realistic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You look at reports that recently the Centre for Social Justice have done on lost boys and fatherless households. Money is one thing, and he'll be totally looked after, but you can't beat the support and love of a father being in the household. So I think it's a bit selfish.
Yeah, I probably agree. I think, 82, because you've got to have that sort of, regardless of how much money you've got, you want to have that father-child bond. Yes. But there is I suppose the exception is, because he's so well off, he will have all the support and, anything that a kid could possibly want, and anything that a parent wants to give their child. So you sort of think, in his case,
apart
maybe...
from actually his dad.
Apart from his dad.
Yeah.
But, so money can only go so far.
I mean, it's a decision for him to take as a father, as a man. But I suppose you've got to look at the fact that his wife, who's 44 years younger than him, she wants another child. They've already got one. I think he's about 12 years old. And she would like another. And I suppose, She's 50% of the deal, isn't she?
Well,
so it'd be
that's
something
the
that
thing.
he could give her.
But then these are conversations you surely have when entering the early stages of a relationship when somebody's quite a bit older, or even 10 years older. You go, are you still at a stage? And I think the more confusing thing for me, and not to put anyone off over their breakfast, I was always under the assumption that as an older fella, I'm surprised it still works.
Charlie Chaplin had children at the age of 80 plus. There you go.
Sorry about that, Stephen. Sorry if anyone eating the cornflakes.
By the sound of it, don't worry, chaps, it definitely still works.
It's still going forever. Well, that's good to know. We're out of time, thank heavens. You two. We'll see you a little bit later on. Let's have a look at the weather with Aidan McGivern.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Floris arrives on Monday, but this weekend at least starts fine with sunny spells for many of us before some rain moves in overnight. Always the possibility of the odd shower across parts of eastern England through the day. Mostly, though, it's going to be a dry day. Sunny spells, yes, but a lot of cloud around as well, so not wall-to-wall sunshine by any stretch of the imagination. And it's going to feel pleasant out there, even if temperatures aren't especially high. Average for the time of year, 24 Celsius in the south, 21 further north. Here's the cloud and rain as it thickens in the northwest, end of the afternoon going into the evening. But ahead of that, much of the cloud thins and disappears, so plenty of fine weather going into the evening. Still warm with light winds out there. If you've got Saturday evening plans, it's looking pretty decent across the whole of the UK. One exception, that rain starting to move into the Outer Hebrides. It's going to be light and patchy at first before some heavier stuff arrives overnight. And really, much of the wet weather turns up after dark, I think, into the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, on and off throughout much of the evening, but then turning heavier, more persistent after midnight. It spreads across much of Scotland, pushes into northern and western England as well as Wales, and it's going to be a mild night for most of us with temperatures holding up in the mid-teens. We do start off Sunday with some sunshine across East Anglia and the southeast, but this weather system is quick to topple southeastwards across the UK. A heavy spell of rain for northern England, North Wales, more showery for South Wales into southwest England, and then it moves into the Midlands, East Anglia, and eventually the southeast by the afternoon. Brighter skies further north with a few showers before it turns very windy as Storm Floris hits on Monday.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year. We'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Sir Jacob Rees-Moggs State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
I thought you'd set up a new version of Pimlico Plumbers in London.
Yeah, my family have set up a company called We Fix London, but we started planning that, 2 years before Labour got in. If we'd known Labour was getting in, we wouldn't have planned it. So obviously we've got to comply with the tax regulations, but anybody with any sense would agree with what I'm saying. The taxes are too high in the UK for wealthy people. Wealthy people can go and work anywhere in the world and be financially a lot better off.
And we had a non-dom regime that was basically stable for 200 years. It's only recently that it's been changed. And we're changing it and making it harder, just as other countries are making it easier. So you can go to Italy and you can negotiate an amount that you will pay. Portugal's been welcoming people. Malta's been welcoming people. All over the world, countries are saying, please come and bring your money. And the UK is saying, we're going to take all your money. We don't want you anymore.
That's right. Look, I mean, they're all encouraging sort of UK business people to come there, and it's working. If you become a tax exile in Italy, you pay 200 grand for the year. You don't have to pay no more. But the real problem is we're wasting their money, and they should be encouraging entrepreneurs to be staying. I think our biggest export at the moment is wealthy people.
So you're a businessman. You know how to do things and make a profit. If you're advising the Chancellor on how to get the money the country needs to pay for the public services, what would you be saying? Because at the moment, the tax revenues don't meet our expenditure. There is a gap. Something needs to give.
Resign.
All right, but that's not the answer.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. President Trump's nuclear threat.
The US president has deployed 2 nuclear submarines towards Russia in response to the country's former president, Medvedev.
Well, Russia reminded Washington that Moscow still has Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities, following the US president talking tough on Ukraine. Trump says that's a threat that can't be ignored.
We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people.
Nearly 1 million NHS free passes, covering everything from prescriptions to dental work, have been handed to asylum seekers in 5 years. But with British families struggling to get appointments, you might ask, who is the NHS actually for?
Cows. No, stop it! I'm being attacked by a cow!
Cows might get tuberculosis because of all the badgers.
Jeremy Clarkson confirms bovine TB has hit his farm in Oxfordshire. So is enough being done to tackle TB in rural Britain?
Crack, it's all about the song, it's all about the sea, it's all about culture and tradition, Ulster Scots traditions, dancing, singing. It looks like it's going to be a great weekend.
That's Portaferry's Sea Shanty Festival, which returns with 4 days of folk tunes and boat races and pirate fun on Strandford Loch.
A first ever clean sweep in Australia is on for the British and Irish Lions as they target history in Sydney later this morning. And the end of an era for Tottenham captain Heung-min Son has announced he'll leave the club after a decade at White Hart Lane.
Storm Floris is expected to cause disruptive winds on Monday for many parts of the UK, but before that happens, actually, it's a pretty decent start to the weekend. Full details coming up soon.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Don't believe what you see at the movies.
Why?
Well, you know it's all made up. Of course it's all made up. But it's stuff like this. They're filming the new Spider-Man.
Ah, yes.
I mean, it's great. It's Tom Holland.
Hasn't he done
great
well?
British actor. He's done phenomenally well. So they're filming the new one in, I don't know what city it's meant to be in. Guess where they're filming it?
Norwich.
No.
Swindon.
Glasgow.
Hey!
So Glasgow's been draped with American flags and yellow taxis and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, I bet that's something worth seeing.
It really will be something to see. So it is New York. It's meant to be New York.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Why they don't film it in New York, I don't know.
Well, maybe it's cheaper to film in Glasgow.
Well, that's probably what it is. They did that with Superman 3, you know.
Yeah,
that was filmed in Milton Keynes.
Ah.
Really? And they did it to be like New York.
I don't know whether you take it as a compliment or not, because they're usually sort of fairly... they go for an atmosphere that's a bit, I don't know, dilapidated or futuristic or very concrete-ish or something like that.
Careful.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So do you take it as a compliment? What you've been
Suits.
chosen
Remember
as
the
a
series
location?
Suits was meant to be New York, wasn't it? But it was actually Toronto.
Oh,
but there was similarity there in the architecture. That's probably part of the thinking behind it, I would have thought.
But there you go. So if you've been in Glasgow and you've seen all the stuff draped out and see it looking like New York, I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any pictures, send them in. It'd be great to hear from you. But it'd be a great film. I love all that.
Yes, I do. They're very well made, aren't they? Spider-Man is particularly good. And by the way, sea shanties are brilliant. You didn't sound terribly impressed about sea shanties. They are the best songs ever, sea shanties.
Are they?
Yeah.
Do you know any?
Well, yes, I do, but I can't even remember them now. But
you see.
When I was at school, we had a band, because you had to look for excuses, because I went to a girls' school. You had to look for excuses to actually join up with the guys in the guys' school. And having a sea shanty troupe was one of them. We used to sing great sea shanties.
What is it?
Yeah. I'll think of...
There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was Ability. The winds dipped down the... anyway,
you know it.
I do know that one.
They were always good. I'll think of it in a minute, but they were great.
Wasn't
it was also a great chance to actually socialise.
That's another story. That's another story. It was, yeah. Anyway, if you enjoy sea shanty, let us know.
Yeah, well, we'll be joining them later.
We will. Now,
Waterferry.
Away from all that silliness to some disturbing news, because President Trump has deployed 2 nuclear submarines near Russia, escalating tensions with Moscow and actually breaking decades of Pentagon secrecy.
The move follows a fiery exchange online with Dmitry Medvedev, who's Russia's former president, who warned Donald Trump to soften his stance on Ukraine, and he reminded him of Moscow's nuclear arsenal.
Now, deployments like this are normally kept secret. Past presidents have only revealed them during a major crisis, like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Here's what the president told reporters outside the White House.
We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people.
Well, earlier on, we spoke to host of the People's Politics podcast, Paul Dadridge.
The nuclear warning from Dmitry Medvedev that you just referred to, which was kind of chilling, and I sort of totally understand why Trump is acting on this, is in response to Trump demanding a ceasefire from Russia in Ukraine and putting a time limit on it and threatening sanctions unless Medvedev has referred to a dead hand threat, which apparently is old Soviet Cold War vernacular for nuclear. And that's apparently what has triggered Trump to respond in sending these nuclear submarines to... Precisely, he sent them to a... where's the location? He won't say it. To be positioned in the appropriate regions, but they won't give any operational precision on that. But they're 2 nuclear submarines. We don't actually know whether they're nuclear powered or nuclear capability, nuclear armed. So that's kind of like an interesting little...
Yes,
variety.
It would be an interesting sub-question that he probably wouldn't answer now. But don't we already know that there is a substantial nuclear, well, I don't know what you call it, arsenal, pack of submarines, whatever, out near Moscow anyway? I mean, they're already deployed. This is just showmanship, as we were saying.
As you say, yes, exactly. I think it's brinksmanship, it's showmanship. This is a... I don't want to be indelicate, but it's some kind of contest. There is basically a war of words going on between Medvedev and Trump, and a show of respect and disrespect from either party. Because I think now Medvedev, the former president of Russia, is now the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, and he is definitely not... He's being the proxy for... He's been the proxy for Putin. So Putin doesn't have to actually enter into such an ugly war of words. Medvedev is able to actually have these public spats. And he's quite happy to raise the temperature and not accept any conditions from the United States. And so that's really what's happening. But as you say, it's theatrical. It is definitely a show of strength, and it's a war of words. But I do think it will de-escalate, but it's looking very, very sort of handbags at dawn at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, and you don't want to make this more than it is. However, it of course carries an implied threat that countries are prepared to use all this. Now, of course, you've got to hope beyond hope that never ever happens, but it's the fact it's being threatened which causes a lot of concern. It does feel like the Cold War all over again.
Well, quite. And look, as you just pointed out, there are already subs there. There's 2 new being sent, but there are already 2 in place anyway, and there's a whole arsenal pointed at one another at all times anyway. So it's largely symbolic to add any more grist to the mill. It's largely, okay, well, now we're going to have 2 more. These are the 2 largest nuclear armed countries on Earth. And so they're constantly deployed towards one another anyway. So like I said, adding a couple more is definitely more of a theatrical deployment rather than actually tactical, and to the extent that we don't even know, like I said, whether it's nuclear powered or nuclear armed.
I mean, for those of us who are old enough to remember what it's like living through the Cold War, insults like this were exchanged all the time. And then look what happened historically. Thank goodness nothing ever happened. But is this a different world now where these sort of insults being traded, submarines being sent halfway across the world, is life different now, and could it be more dangerous?
Look, it could be. I actually think you're 100% right. I think it's less dangerous. Again, I could be being naive or shucks about it. I'm really happy that stuff is playing out in social media. I'm much happier that this is playing out in the open. If you think of the little skirmishes that we experienced during the Cold War, we might not know for days that something had actually happened and that brinksmanship had been taking place, because it was such a shrouded information exchange between the superpowers. Now everything's playing out in real time on social media, and I think it de-escalates in real time much more quickly than perhaps it used to.
And I wonder what you think at home, if like me, you're old enough to remember what it was like living through the Cold War. Particularly as a child. I mean, you're always scared, particularly if you watched... I remember watching a documentary on television that I shouldn't have been watching, really. It was too scary and serious. So we lived through those times, but these times are different.
It is different.
And certainly we've got a president now who is... you almost feel he could do anything.
Yeah, but that's part of... Well, that's worrying, but then we had that with North Korea last time he was in. But it's that unpredictability which actually gives him some strength.
Yes, it does. Yes.
So, we shall see. We shall see.
Well, he's very critical at the moment of the way we're doing things in this country, is he not? He'll have something to say about this. The NHS has been accused of handing out free passes to almost 1 million asylum seekers. That's over the past 5 years.
Figures reveal an array of NHS services, free prescriptions, free dental care, free travel to appointments, issued between 2019 and 2024.
Now, the revelation comes after Donald Trump raised concerns about free speech in this country, following reports that Whitehall was allegedly spying on those of us who were critical of the migration concerns.
Let's talk to former political advisor Lauren McKevitt, who's here. Good to see you this morning. I mean, the interesting thing with this is, of course, we're talking under a Tory government.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no getting away from the numbers that have been released in this particular data drop. These are the 5 years of the last Conservative administration. And what I find interesting is that this is being badged as an NHS handout. The NHS has a legal obligation through the low-income scheme towards providing what's called an HC2 exemption for people on low incomes, and that's free prescriptions, transport to appointments if physically required, dental work, unlimited dental work, and I think it's £233 in eye tests and glasses per annum. This is 59% of the HC2 exemptions being given out. And I should stress the article I read this morning in The Sun doesn't make it clear whether or not that exemption is referring to 59% of England exemptions, because there are 4 health systems within the United Kingdom.
Yes.
So it's unclear whether or not that's an England figure, where it's 59% of England or 59% of the entirety of the UK's exemption system. But it's still a lot of people. And it's galling at a time when people can't get hold of a dentist's appointment.
Well, that's where the comparison with how many low-income people in this country who need that sort of support, whether they're getting it or not. that comparison will need to be made. There'll be a freedom of information request going in, I'm sure, from various newspapers and other journalists at the moment.
And it just, for a lot of people, it will seem like yet another slightly mad definition that the government has put on something about the concept of low income. There'll be a lot of people who aren't getting a low income exemption for this, who will struggle with the cost of eye care, with the cost of dentistry, because it is expensive. And a bit like the working class definitions that they've put into this new internship programme this week, where an £80,000 a year train driver's child is classified as working class, but a nurse's child is not. There's something quite cooked in how the government is classifying things, where someone who comes here illegally is entitled to an exemption by law.
And although there are arguments for it, of course,
absolutely.
A lot of it now is boiling. We've hit a point where things are being based on perception, because people are so fed up. And the perception here is, if you're from another country, you get looked after better in the UK or in England than you do if you were English.
And 59% of these exemptions for this number that's a lot, and people will be sort of justifiably ticked off about that. And that's where we tip into the Donald Trump concern. Of course, we've got a lot of new legislation that's come into effect over the course of the last week, where, and this passed under the last Conservative government, the Online Safety Act, but the Labour opposition only objected to bits of this bill where they thought it didn't go far enough as it was passing through the House. So this is something that both parties have their sticky little fingers all over. And Donald Trump is saying that this is going to impact upon free speech.
Well, I mean, what's your gut feeling hearing about the fact that if you are vocal on social media or whatever about your concerns about immigration, about what we've just been talking about, if you are vocal about it in strong terms, are you going to get a knock on your door from the police?
So that's a really interesting question, because there's a section in the Online Safety Act, and I think, having read it a couple of times now, I think it relates to advertising boat crossings on Facebook, which was a mechanism, or TikTok, which was a mechanism for advertising the people smuggling routes. So saying that the Online Safety Act will prevent you from viewing material that could be relating to channel crossings. From that point of view of trying to crack down on people smuggling, inevitably that's going to be used for people who are looking for content like that and publicising content like that because they are concerned about the number of people coming into this country. What I find equally fascinating is this is being introduced in the same week that Votes at 16 is being floated by the government. So you're going to have a lot of people between that 16 and 18-year-old bracket who will be looking for political information online and will be age-restricted out of viewing it. And how do they make legitimate and justifiable electoral decisions in those 2 years when they have not been allowed to view political content that could impact upon their vote?
Well, they'll be getting VPNs like every other teenager.
And like GCHQ advises you to do for the health and security of your computer.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I saw someone argue last night saying, well, the thing is, VPN, if you're under 16, you won't be able to pay for a VPN. You can get them for free.
You can get them for free.
That just shows they don't fully understand the new age, I suppose, isn't it?
I know.
But a lot of older people might well point out, I'm sorry, this banning things, restricting things, therefore it coming down to a restriction of free speech, is very Labour government. It's what Labour governments end up doing.
And yet this is something that was passed under the Conservative government.
Yeah.
So this is a nice authoritarian bent on both sides, actually, that I think has massively negative ramifications on freedom of speech, which, a lot of people will say, well, the Americans have freedom of speech in the Constitution and we don't. That's not true. We do, and it's from the ECHR, actually. Article 10 of the ECHR, which was translated into the human rights law here in 1998, protects freedom of expression and freedom of association. And I wonder if some of these laws will see an Article 10 referral for judgment elsewhere, because it does seem that this is going to impinge upon your ability to speak freely about your political concerns, and people questioning whether or not these are legitimate political concerns. It really does feel in this country like the Overton window on immigration has shifted, and the Labour government will do just about anything to legislate away from being able to talk about that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
I know.
Who was that guy who was the police went to see him? Was he a former special constable who was retired or something? And they went round to his house because someone had made a complaint about him, and they went through his books on his bookshelf and went, "Oh, this is all a bit Brexity."
Yes, that's right. A bit Brexity was the
Brexity.
word. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you just can't do anything these days. All right, Lauren, thank you very much indeed.
That
Good
itself
to see
is a
you.
sinister thing to say, in a way, isn't
It's
it?
it's
terrible.
terrifying because the assumptions
Not
they make
right.
about you.
I
Dear
suppose
me.
to be absolutely fair and above board, let me read out what a government spokesman said about it. Free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy. The Online Safety Act protects it. However, we make no apologies for flagging to platforms content which is contrary to their own terms of service and which can result in violent disorder on our streets.
Just coming up to 19 minutes past 7, a US jury has ruled Tesla partially responsible for the death of a young woman hit by a car on autopilot in Florida. Tesla blamed the driver, who admitted he was distracted by his phone when the car ran a red light. But jurors decided Tesla shared fault for allowing it to operate on roads it wasn't designed for. Tesla says it's going to appeal.
Italy's controversial deal to process asylum seekers in Albania has been dealt a major setback. The European Court of Justice ruled that Italy's definition of a safe country breaches EU law. The judgment has been met with fury from Rome, with critics arguing that it actually weakens border controls.
And if you fancy a bit of fish and chips tonight, how about this? It's a shop in Kent has made headlines by selling Britain's most expensive chippy meal, 65 quid. The difference here, though, it's Archie's in Thanet. It's a 2-kilo battered cod. It's a big fish meal designed for 4 people. So you've got to bear that in mind. But of course, we know that going to the chip shop is not as cheap as it used to be.
I know, me too.
It's terrible. It's every time we see it. I wish we'd stop showing the pictures.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely looks gorgeous.
It really does.
Stop it,
there
Alistair.
it is. Yes.
It's our director putting it
Why
back
is
on
it
again.
that fish and chips appeals at this time of day?
I don't know.
But it really does.
Lots and lots of salt and vinegar.
Oh, yes.
You know, I like me mushy peas
Yeah,
with
and I
it.
like me ketchup with that.
Lovely.
Very nice. And a bit of tartar sauce as well. OK, enough. Oh, it's 7:20, for heaven's sake. Shall we find out about the weather?
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Floris arrives on Monday, but this weekend at least starts fine with sunny spells for many of us before some rain moves in overnight. Always the possibility of the odd shower across parts of eastern England through the day. Mostly, though, it's going to be a dry day. Sunny spells, yes, but a lot of cloud around as well, so not wall-to-wall sunshine by any stretch of the imagination. And it's going to feel pleasant out there, even if temperatures aren't especially high. Average for the time of year, 24 Celsius in the south, 21 further north. Here's the cloud and rain as it thickens in the northwest, end of the afternoon going into the evening. But ahead of that, much of the cloud thins and disappears, so plenty of fine weather going into the evening. Still warm with light winds out there if you've got Saturday evening plans. It's looking pretty decent across the whole of the UK. One exception, that rain starting to move into the Outer Hebrides. It's going to be light and patchy at first before some heavier stuff arrives overnight. And really, much of the wet weather turns up after dark, I think, into the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, on and off throughout much of the evening, but then turning heavier, more persistent after midnight. It spreads across much of Scotland, pushes into northern and western England as well as Wales, and it's going to be a mild night for most of us with temperatures holding up in the mid-teens. We do start off Sunday with some sunshine across East Anglia and the southeast, but this weather system is quick to topple southeastwards across the UK. A heavy spell of rain for northern England, North Wales, more showery for South Wales into southwest England, and then it moves into the Midlands, East Anglia, and eventually the southeast by the afternoon. Brighter skies further north with a few showers before it turns very windy as Storm Floris hits on Monday.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Oh, we've got a
storm, Floris.
Oh,
it's going to spoil things for everybody, isn't it? Just when I was hoping the weather might get good again.
Yeah, well, never mind. Never mind, we are British.
Yes.
Keep calm and carry on.
Yes.
Anyway, how about this? It's our brand new Great British Giveaway. It's something really rather special. It's the chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a whole year. We will pay your mortgage or your rent for 12 months up to £20,000. Plus, we'll give you £5,000 on top. So if you fancy that, here's how you enter.
Let us take on some of your financial stresses and pay your mortgage or rent for the next 12 months. We're serious. We want to give you a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an unbelievable £20,000. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also boost that by a further £5,000. So you really could have some fun in the coming year. You really could be mortgage or rent free for a year. But don't miss out. Lines are going to close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh, fish and chips has got you going.
I don't get this from Lee Charlton, morning Lee, who says, don't forget, it's mostly not vinegar served in chip shops.
No, it's non-brewed condiment.
What's non-brewed condiment?
Well, it's a sort of artificial vinegar. It's non-brewed, whereas vinegar is brewed, isn't it? It's steeped.
Tastes like vinegar, though.
A bit. But I think it's sort of artificially made because it has sugar thrown in and all sorts of things to make it taste like vinegar.
But
you have to ask. In most chip shops now, they will offer proper vinegar.
Really?
Otherwise, you go home and drown it in proper vinegar of your own.
No, well, he's saying he likes non-brewed condiment because there's a local shop that sells it near them in Durham.
Oh, no, it's not the right thing. It's not the real thing. Somebody else says you wouldn't serve fish and chips, as in some of those pictures, with lemon.
Why not?
I would. Yeah, but I mean, you chuck in on fish and chips anything you fancy, really, don't you? That's the point.
Yeah, anyway.
And Jay says, don't go to fish and chip shops anymore. It's too expensive. You can buy 2 chunky pieces of haddock in a well-known store for under £5.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
No, it's not.
No. Right, coming
Throw
up...
in a pickled egg, says Tim.
I don't like a pickled egg, gotta be honest. Still to come for you, would you sell your morals for £1 million? We'll debate that next.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Yes, we did it.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. We couldn't have done it without you.
Absolutely not. It is down to each and every single one of you who chooses to watch us, to listen to us, and to be a part of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
This is just the beginning. Britain's #1 news channel.
Now, here's a good one. It reminds me of that film, Indecent Proposal. Would you do anything for £1 million? Or what they call a life-changing sum of money? Maybe that's not £1 million anymore, interestingly. What would be your price? Well, the reason we're talking about this is because there's the mother she's defended, basically, her daughter's success in a new Channel 4 documentary because her daughter makes what they call adult content. And this mother is defending her daughter, saying that, you know, your values shift when real money is on the table.
So would you sell your morals for £1 million a month, we're saying, which is what this lady apparently makes?
Is a lot of money, but would it change your values and your morals? Well, joining us now is content creator Andy Lee and commentator Annalise Colwell. Andy, would you do anything for £1 million, or do you?
Yes, I would absolutely.
Don't go into detail, please.
Anything legally for £1 million a month, absolutely. Why wouldn't I? Who wouldn't? You know, life's too short. Live it while you're here.
Annalise, what's wrong with that?
Well, I wouldn't sell my soul, basically, is how I see it, for £1 million. I think that we all live in a society, and within a society, we have to have cultural norms, social norms, in order to coexist. I think I can see the temptation when you're talking about £1 million a month. Obviously, that is a huge amount of money, and especially if you're, you know, not very well off, you're struggling, you're bringing up children on your own. I can see that obviously there's a huge temptation, and I can't say that if I were, you know, 21-year-old girl with a young baby and somebody said, you know, would you do something questionable for £1 million? I can't say that I'd say no. I would hope that I would say no. I would certainly at 54 say no. Not that anybody would probably offer me that money now to do these sorts of things, but no, we have to take individual responsibility for being a member of society.
But I guess the question... All right, let me throw this back to Andy then, because I guess the question there, Andy, is whether you think there is anything morally wrong in adult content.
When you say morally wrong, like, adult content creators are we still have morals, we're still good people. Yes, we make adult content for adults who enjoy it. I don't see what the issue is, why people have an issue. The people who seem to have an issue are the people who watch it the most.
Well, at the end of the day, though, it's what Annalise was saying, you've got to live with yourself, haven't you? You've got to be able to look in the mirror and think, what sort of a person am I? Does it not drag you down morally, do you feel?
Listen, I was homeless and now I'm a millionaire because I do adult content. Nothing drags me down. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm a nice person. I'm a good person. I help people when I can. I help my family. I don't see what the issue is with people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said, Annalise, for hypocrisy in all of this, isn't it? Because we might turn our noses up at it, but how many amongst us throughout our lives, no matter what age we are, have not looked at some sort of adult content over the years?
Absolutely, and I honestly do not have any issue with adult content or people making things for adults. I think what we're talking about in this case, and I'm being careful what I'm saying, is that, you know, I watched the video and it's going very, very close to the edge for me, because it's not just really about adult content anymore. With social media and this stuff is not just remaining adult content. It is very easy for it to get out into the world of children. And I think when we're talking about this particular video, there are aspects on it where you're looking at adult content in a classroom and adult content involving school uniforms and girls who are overage but who look very much underage and deliberately look underage. And when we're talking about that sort of thing, we're then entering into the realms of issues that I think are morally difficult.
OK, Andy, can I ask Andy, I mean, you say you're earning that sort of big money. Will you give it up at some point and go on and live what we might call a normal life? Or will you go on? Does it make you greedy for more?
Yeah, of course it makes me greedy for more. I'm looking to make the best life I can for me and my family for as long as I can. So as long as it's there, I'm not going to stop. I don't do anything wrong. I do everything legal. I'm happy, I'm healthy. Everyone I work with is consenting adults, and we make content for adults. What she was talking about the school stuff and that's been around for millions of years. You know, they've been doing that for years and years and years. But now that one person has done it in one video, then now everyone has an uproar about it.
All right, there we must leave it. Andy Lee, Annalise Colwell, good to see you both this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. It's got to be talked about.
I mean, that movie was made in 1999, I think we found, Indecent Proposal. It was Demi Moore, Robert Redford and Woody Harrelson, heck of a cast, in which Robert Redford says he'll pay them £1 million, which would solve their problems as a young married, desperate couple. And they debate it. They think he's basically offering to have Demi Moore join him for one night. And it drags them all down. It does. It ends badly. Oh, I don't want to give it away, but it's not a happy ending.
No.
And all of the critics were really hard on the movie, but everybody went to see it.
Well, which is the same with adult content, basically, isn't it? Be as critical as you like, but how many people are watching it? Right, Aidan McGee's going to be here with all your latest sports news. That's next, and it's free to watch.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Right, sports time. Aidan's here. What are we talking about first?
Well, I want to shine a light on this situation with Alexander Isak, who is the Newcastle United player who has angered the local supporters up there in the northeast because he's basically trying to angle or manoeuvre away out of the club to get to Newcastle United. Now, he has a couple of years left on his contract. He was signed in 2022 at a cost of £63 million. He's now valued at, well, the club value him at around £150 million. Liverpool made a bid yesterday, apparently, or this week, of 110 plus add-ons. Add-ons usually means later payments to be fulfilled, i.e. once he plays 50 matches, for example, or once he gets more caps for his country, or once he scores a certain number of goals, that will trigger further payments. Now, there have been banners placed up in Newcastle by supporters, apparently anyway. Isak, as we can see there, Isak is a pure rat. They're basically saying this is a hero of the club, and they're basically saying that now that he wants out, now that he wants to desert them and he wants to go on to bigger things, he's guilty in their eyes of an act of betrayal.
Yeah, well,
but he just wants to move on, doesn't he? Isn't that fair?
Yeah, but there's this thing about... This is the thing, player power, right? Where do I stand on it? Well, lots of people ask me that, and I say, because most people within the game say, you know, the power should rest with the clubs. They're the ones who own the asset. They're the ones who set the price. Well, this shows, as a case in point, that there isn't really any such thing as player power, because he won't leave until Newcastle United get what they want. So 110
Well, he can't afford to leave. He'd have to pay him off.
Yeah, they would. And I just think that I always say to players, and this is because I've seen so many of them go skint, even one at the end of their career, even though they might have earned 40, 50 grand a week at some point in their life. I always say, take what you can, earn while you can, because time soon ticks on. He's 25 years old. Within 3 or 4 years, he'll have no resale value, and his earning potential will be much less. And you know what? When a club doesn't want a player, they soon let people know they don't want them, and it's all about extracting the highest amount of money. And so I think he will end up at Liverpool at the end of the window. Liverpool have cleared the decks apart from anything else because they sold a player for £65 million earlier in the week to kind of gather the cash together to finance this bid. And I think that's a low ball offer to start with. And 110, I think that they'll go back later in the window and try and get him out of there. But it's an unedifying situation for all concerned as things stand.
Well, someone who is going is Heung-min Son.
Yeah,
Tottenham
10 years.
Hotspur. Yeah, I mean, he's sort of done his time. He's leaving on a high.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, look, he won the Europa League just a couple of months ago against Tottenham, and against Manchester United in that final. It was less than a spectacle, I would argue, but nonetheless, it brought to an end their 17-year wait for a trophy. And look, I mean, what is it? What's the numbers? 173 goals in 454 appearances. They're in Seoul at the moment. What he did for the club, Anne, was that he opened up commercial opportunities for Tottenham in the Far East, and a lot of it's largely been seen as or widely been seen as an untapped market, even for Premier League clubs. It's been tried before with various other players, but it's not enough to just have that player on your roster. you need to have him being successful. And that's exactly what he's done. He's boosted the profile of his country over here and in international terms. He's an absolute hero in those lands. It looks as if he'll get to play his last match for Tottenham in Seoul in front of his native crowd, if you like. But I think that'll be a bit of a tearjerker for the Tottenham fans hearing that he'll be departing.
It will be indeed. All right, Aidan, we'll see you a little bit later on. Thank you very much indeed.
And still to come, Matthew Torbett and Charlie Rowley will be here to go through the papers. There they are. Not doing very much work, I have to say. Obviously very confident they already know it. If you are in search of some holiday sun, however, here is the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst the UK gears up for Storm Floris, it turns increasingly hot in Portugal, although there'll be some heavy rain in Croatia and Italy, particularly the central part of Italy. Thunderstorms expected here, thunderstorms moving through parts of Croatia and Bosnia, but for much of Iberia it's sunny spells and increased heat. Higher temperatures than average for much of Portugal, and that's expected to continue into the start of next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Time for the papers with former Conservative advisor Charlie Rowley and former Labour advisor Matthew Torbett. These two gents are a disgrace.
But we can't tell you why.
I've heard that before.
Yes,
That's unfair,
we can't
isn't it?
tell you why. Can we talk, Matthew, about Nigel Farage in the Times? Because people are saying he's not very well.
Yes, it seems to be unfounded rumours, according to Nigel Farage. He says it is a desperate last-ditch attempt because there's nothing else that the mainstream parties can go to.
Well, they're trying absolutely everything, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not Jimmy Savile 1 week, it's you know, he's
that was terrible, actually.
It was so totally stupid. I think, you know, Peter Kyle. I think I read that 7 or 8 out of 10 parents agreed with the premise of the bill and the Act, the Online Safety Act, and the ideas behind it. Well, then that's what you do. You promote the fact that parents want it, whatever. To turn it into what is essentially now a culture war issue is a bad idea when you're up against someone that's quite good at winning these culture war issues. But no, he says he's fit and ready to go. I mean, it's a bit of a weird one as well, because I think he's either the same age or a year younger than Keir Starmer. So, you know, are we to be worried about Keir Starmer's age in that instance, or his sort of lifestyle, because running Number 10 is obviously quite a stressful job. Yeah, he's up at 4:30 in the morning, he says. He's home at 11 o'clock at night, which is very demanding. He's, you know, you have to keep an eye on it. But he has said he's regulated his lifestyle somewhat, drinking less. I think it's the cigs, really. You know, not giving up. That's the real sort of kicker, I think. They come back and bite you at...
Well, they do at some point, but it's his choice. You know, it's free to do what he wants.
Well, I think he's. I think it's a load of bunkum. I think. I didn't even hear about these rumours. To be fair. So I think he's done quite well.
He's a year younger than Keir Starmer.
I thought he was.
Keir Starmer's 62, Nigel Farage is 61.
Well, we've got a lot more to worry about Keir Starmer, I think. Even in a full flush of health, I think there's problems there, rather than poor old Nigel, who is working like an absolute racehorse, I think, day in, day out, those hours that Matt was just talking about. And he seems to be leading the agenda day by day. I think he was absolutely right to call out Peter Kyle earlier in the week. You talked about that, Jimmy Savile, sort of. But this is the Labour Party through and through. I mean, I remember during the general election they put out that advert about Rishi Sunak because prisoners had been released early from prison or hadn't been convicted. And there was a poster from the Labour Party saying that Rishi Sunak, therefore, is on the side of paedophiles.
Yes, he did.
That is the Labour Party politics, in my view, which is gutter. So if anybody dares sort of say how terrible those nasty Tories are or reform, well, you've just only got to look at your own house to get that sorted, I think.
Wow.
And I think the public will agree.
I'm in agreement with Charlie. But I think purely because I remember the advert Rishi Sunak talks about, the Rishi Sunak advert, and I remember whose idea it was, and it's a shame they are serving in government at the moment. It's not on. And I think purely because I expect better from my own side. You know, I grew up radical student at university and would stand outside Conservative Party conference, probably seeing Charlie there and saying how awful they all were.
Well, I think I was probably at university at the same time.
You might well be. But you know, you sort of have that in mind, but I expect better from my own side than what is essentially gutter politics and just bad political discourse, the idea of mudslinging rather than debating the real issues and what people are really bothered about. So that's where me and Charlie will no doubt agree on that sort of
stuff. Good. Right, what should we do next?
I rather like the story in the Daily Mail about Asda putting Christmas treats in their stores. Now, it's August.
Are we going to find anybody that thinks this is all right? This is... No. I mean, it's not like me to be a Scrooge, but... This is ridiculous, right? This is like the worst type of capitalism. People haven't got any money, and
they're not a mistake.
I don't know. You're going to be panicking about Christmas now. That and I've got to get the money together for the kids' presents and also the food in and whatever. We're barely out of Easter, sure. Well, no, but this is what I mean. It's bad enough they go straight on normally after Halloween, and you've still got a few months to go or whatever. But. Ludicrous, bizarre.
Why would they do it?
I don't know. Mind you, I walked along here, walking along to the office, and there was these lights shining on the pavement that were all snowflakes, mood dancing about. I thought, well, this is a bit blooming odd.
Well, if we're not careful, it doesn't make Christmas special enough.
No.
By the time we get to Christmas, you'll have a freezer full of 6-month-old food, and you'll have bought all your stuff already.
Yeah.
You know,
we've not even had summer yet, have we?
No, exactly. Well, thank you very much.
They'll be playing Christmas music before we know it, and that should never be happening until December. Ridiculous.
No, I totally agree. It's far too early.
So can I just say, an Asda spokesman said, "We know how important it is for our shoppers to be able to spread the cost of Christmas. So we start Christmas early.
Oh,
yeah, they just want to get the extra profit.
They do, they just want the extra money. Meanwhile, I feel like writing to an agony aunt about this. It distresses me so much, Charlie.
Well, yes, and in the absence of an agony aunt, you can turn to AI, and most Brits are now turning away from those traditional methods. Dear Deirdre, I think it used to be in the Sun.
Still is.
Still is. Oh, I should beg your pardon. She's still going strong.
Well, no, she's dead.
Oh, right. Oh, well.
It still has the headline, Dear Deirdre.
Dear Deirdre, but there's, in the absence of Dear Deirdre, poor dear Deirdre, you can turn to AI, whoever she is. And most people are gushing with their most heartfelt problems, and whether it's job or relationship advice, people are turning online. And I think, you know, you'll never know what the answer is on AI, do you? Until you get one, but it won't be Dear Deirdre.
Have you tried it out, Charlie? And what did it advise you to do?
I haven't actually, Ted. I'm petrified by AI. I really am. I think it's a bit dangerous.
Well, you've all got to take up practical things like plumbing. We've got to be plumbers and plasterers and the sort of jobs that AI cannot reproduce.
Yeah,
That's what we've got to retrain.
The day I have kids, I'll be telling them to get a trade. That seems to be the thing that's most safe. And I think I was like Charlie. I was a bit terrified of AI, but I've begun to sort of go, it's here. It's not going anywhere. We've got to try and accept it. I use ChatGPT more like Google.
Oh, right.
I just use it
right.
Are we apologising to
apparently Deirdre isn't dead.
You've turned...
She's not,
but she's retired.
She's retired.
Very nearly the same.
So AI is probably doing it.
Yes, all right. We're out of time. Apologise.
You turn to Mystic Meg.
Here's the weather.
You turn to Mystic Meg.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Floris arrives on Monday, but this weekend at least starts fine with sunny spells for many of us before some rain moves in overnight. Always the possibility of the odd shower across parts of eastern England through the day. Mostly, though, it's going to be a dry day. Sunny spells, yes, but a lot of cloud around as well, so not wall-to-wall sunshine by any stretch of the imagination. And it's going to feel pleasant out there, even if temperatures aren't especially high. Average for the time of year, 24 Celsius in the south, 21 further north. Here's the cloud and rain as it thickens in the northwest, end of the afternoon going into the evening. But ahead of that, much of the cloud thins and disappears, so plenty of fine weather going into the evening. Still warm with light winds out there. If you've got Saturday evening plans, it's looking pretty decent across the whole of the UK. One exception, that rain starting to move into the Outer Hebrides. It's going to be light and patchy at first before some heavier stuff arrives overnight. And really, much of the wet weather turns up after dark, I think, into the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, on and off throughout much of the evening, but then turning heavier, more persistent after midnight. It spreads across much of Scotland, pushes into northern and western England as well as Wales, and it's going to be a mild night for most of us with temperatures holding up in the mid-teens. We do start off Sunday with some sunshine across East Anglia and the southeast, but this weather system is quick to topple southeastwards across the UK. A heavy spell of rain for northern England, North Wales, more showery for South Wales into southwest England, and then it moves into the Midlands, East Anglia, and eventually the southeast by the afternoon. Brighter skies further north with a few showers before it turns very windy as Storm Floris hits on Monday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed Heat Pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Let us take on some of your financial stresses and pay your mortgage or rent for the next 12 months. We want to give you a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an unbelievable £20,000. We'll also boost that by a further £5,000, so you really could have some fun in the coming year. for a chance to win. Text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Dale, so what's all this about? You're involved in this scheme. The idea is that people who've got depression need to get out and about, and football's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up really rather well there. Football is a place for communities. It's a place where you feel a part of something. I know this from my experience of football. I've been running Forest Green for about 15 years now. And chatting to our local GP, who happens to be also our MP, but we just had the idea, why don't we offer football on prescription? Because it'd be a lovely thing to do. Football is a great place to come and meet other people and be a part of something. And it could really help people that are feeling isolated and lonely and you know, other aspects of mental health. So I'm really happy to be taking part in this, and if it works here in Stroud, then we're hoping we'll roll it out nationally, and maybe even the NHS will embrace it as a national programme. That would be great.
This is football clubs that have signed up to voluntarily offer seats to be a part of this programme.
Yeah, and right now it's one football club, Forest Green Rovers, but I hope that football clubs up and down the country and up and down the leagues of football as well, because it doesn't have to be a Premier Championship club. You know, there are lots of great leagues in our country and local clubs for people to go and take part with. So yeah, it's not being paid for by the NHS. It's being paid for currently by Forest Green Rovers.
You're a businessman, though. Surely you must see some, some dollar signs on this one. Sell the tickets to the NHS.
Well, I'm British, so I don't look at dollar signs. But look, I'm primarily an environmentalist, and what I care about is making our country a better place. I spend most of my time pursuing the green economy, but I believe in tax justice, social justice, that kind of stuff. Mental health is a crisis in our country, particularly for men. It's the biggest cause of suicide for the under 50s. Men are affected 3 times more than women. Men don't tend to talk to each other. They don't talk about their problems. And so this is not about money.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. President Trump's nuclear threat.
The US president deploys 2 nuclear submarines towards Russia in response to the country's former president, Medvedev.
Russia reminded Washington that Moscow still has Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities following the US president talking tough on Ukraine, but Trump says you can't ignore that.
We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people.
Nearly 1 million NHS free passes covering everything from prescriptions to dental work have been handed out to asylum seekers within the last 5 years. But with British families struggling to get appointments, you might ask, who is the NHS really for?
Cows. No. Stop it! I'm being attacked by a cow!
Cows might get tuberculosis because of all the badgers.
Jeremy Clarkson confirms bovine TB has struck his farm, leaving his team devastated. But it raises the question, because it's not uncommon, is enough being done to tackle TB in rural Britain?
Crack, it's all about the song, it's all about the sea, it's all about culture and tradition, Ulster Scots traditions, dancing, singing. It looks like it's going to be a great weekend.
That's Portaferry's Sea Shanty Festival, and it's returning with 4 days of folk tunes and boat races and pirate fun.
A Wallaby whitewash is on for the British and Irish Lions as they target an historic clean sweep of victories against Australia in Sydney later this morning, and the end of an era for Tottenham. Captain Heung-min Son has announced he'll leave the club after a decade at White Hart Lane.
Storm Floris is expected to cause disruptive winds on Monday for many parts of the UK, but before that happens, actually, it's a pretty decent start to the weekend. Full details coming up soon.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast. lots of comments about how hilarious you are.
Oh, yeah, but not intentionally. I must apologise to dear Deirdre.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought she died.
No.
I thought that's why she wasn't doing the Dear Deirdre column, but it was still called Dear
It's because she's
Deirdre.
retired. Well,
Just
exactly.
retired.
Yeah.
I know, because that's what they did with Mystic Meg, isn't it? It's still called Mystic Meg.
Even though she's not writing
Yeah.
her mysticisms
Yeah,
anymore.
but Dear Deirdre is still called Dear Deirdre, but Deirdre is still with us.
My predictions, I became known as Mystic Mag for a while.
Yeah, but your predictions are rubbish, to be fair. So, Deirdre, I do apologise.
And also, a lot of people are writing in about whether they're worried and fearful that AI will take over their jobs, for instance. What somebody's just written in, and this is true, that, oh, here we are. I'm 77 and I love AI. It's opened my life. I've learned all sorts of new things with hobbies, DIY and gardening. I think you can tackle most things. You can just Google stuff, but you can ignore politics and Labour and get on with the things that really interest you. And it's true, my potatoes are doing particularly well thanks to AI.
Really? Did you ask them what to do?
Yeah, I asked them all along the way what to do, because I'm growing them in those sort of grow baggy type,
What sort of potatoes?
the vertical grow bags.
What kind of potatoes are they?
Cyprus potatoes.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, I especially
Of course they
ordered
are.
them. Yeah, because they make the best potatoes in Cyprus.
So what they large ones or?
Well, it doesn't matter what size they are, Aidan. It's detracting the point.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's when you pick them that whether you determine whether they're big or not.
Oh yeah.
But they have grown like crazy. And it's doing so well. And it's very exciting growing potatoes. Anyway, I've done it all with the help from Mr. AI.
AI can be very, very useful. It's just when it goes a bit too far and starts... And what worries me about it all is that it's removing some of our brain power.
Oh, I don't know.
That's what worries me. Well, with stuff, writing letters and all that, and you just say, well, write me a text message to say X, Y, and Z, and it just does it. Or here's an article, summarise it for me so I don't have to read the whole thing. And it's diminishing our brain power. And I don't think it's so bad for the likes of us, but I think when kids are doing it and they never develop that brain power in the first place, I think we're going to end up as a population of numbskulls.
And I also think that, don't you worry that if you're writing... I mean, if you wrote, for instance, to Dear Deirdre, you'd worry whether you were getting a real... Who's still alive? Whether you were getting a real person's response or an AI person's response. I know there is apparently a lady in charge of it now, but I'm just saying that, for instance, I had a problem with my bank over the last couple of days, and I sensed that I was talking to a robot, and I actually, and it said that this was a name. Is it called? It said I'm Diana, and I said, "Are you a real person, or are you a bot?" And she said, "I'm Diana." And I had no idea whether I was actually talking to a bot or not. And that's very frustrating. I bet I was.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be reasonable and say, this is my complaint, and they were just coming back with the usual answers that they would. And I couldn't tell whether it was a human or a bot. They were intelligent answers, but they were nevertheless, the sort of stuff that your bank...
They weren't understanding your frustration.
No.
Not once has one of those chatbots ever helped me.
No, they don't. They just placate you, don't they, I think?
Yes, you always have to ask for a real person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but then you think you're sort of annoying the bot.
I don't care.
Are you polite to bots or are you not? Do you say please and thank you?
Yes, because someone will be monitoring it.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Right, President Trump has deployed 2 nuclear submarines near Russia, escalating tensions with Moscow, and it also actually breaks decades of Pentagon secrecy.
The move follows a fiery exchange online with Dmitry Medvedev. Remember him? He's Russia's former president, but he was having a right go. He warned Donald Trump to soften his stance on Ukraine, and he reminded him of Moscow's nuclear arsenal.
Well, deployments like this are normally kept secret. They've only been revealed in the past during major crises, like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
So here's what the president told reporters outside the White House.
We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people.
Let's talk to the deputy editor of The Spectator, Freddie Gray. Freddie, good morning to you. What do you make of all of this? Is this a sensible response in the fact that it's almost like a game of chicken, isn't it?
Well, triggered's quite a good way of putting it. It's been a bananas week from Donald Trump. We've had so much news in so many directions. We've had trade wars. We've had good news about the economy. Then there was rather bad news about the economy, which I think might be connected to this story. There was a very negative jobs report. And we know what Donald Trump likes to do whenever he has bad news. It's create a major distraction. And this is pretty major and a pretty dramatic distraction, 2 nuclear submarines heading near Russia. It's also really about how, in this day and age, social media can start conflicts. Medvedev is a former president of Russia, I should say, interim president between Putin's reigns. And but he's now more of a social media troll, really. He just says aggressive things on social media quite a lot, like a lot of international leaders do. And that has escalated into, a nuclear threat, a threat of nuclear war, which is not to be sniffed at. I mean, I think you have to take everything with a pinch of salt with Trump, but these are real nuclear submarines. And so it's sort of dangerous and silly at the same time.
Yes, it's sort of frightening and reassuring at the same time, because people who've lived through the Cold War know that this sort of thing happened. There were always insults being traded and nuclear arsenals moved around, and yet, luckily, nothing terrible happened. Now you don't know whether or not it's reassuring that, oh, here we go again, or whether actually the climate is different this time and things could escalate.
Well, I think a lot of people, a lot of British, deep state types, for want of a better word, will be relieved that Trump is now taking an increasingly hostile position towards Russia. I mean, everyone will remember, of course, that when he came in, he seemed to want to end the war. He seemed to want to offer Putin a peace deal on very favourable terms to Putin. But that has completely changed. He's very disappointed with Putin. He's increasingly irate at the way Russia has treated him. He didn't get the help from Russia that he wanted on Iran, let alone Ukraine. And so now he's escalating the aggression against them. And I think, for a lot of British foreign policy thinkers, that's exactly what they've wanted all along.
How much of a threat is it really because it's Medvedev and not Putin, because it's talking about Soviet-era strike capability, which, frankly, must be falling apart at the seams, one would imagine, at the moment. Is it really that much of a threat posed by Moscow on this?
I mean, yes. I mean, the Russian nuclear threat's very real. It may be very old, but they have a bigger arsenal, I think, than anyone else in the world, including America, in theory. Of course, a lot of it might not work, but I'm sure enough of it works to destroy the planet several times over. Yeah. So, yes, it is a very serious threat. But as I say, it has this silliness alongside it because it's triggered by social media. But just because something's silly doesn't mean it's not able to result in the destruction of the world.
What do you think Putin will think of Medvedev getting involved in a sort of spat with President Trump? Will he sit back and just watch them and be amused about it, or will he be really upset? Or is Medvedev doing Putin's work for him?
I strongly suspect Medvedev wouldn't have done it without knowing that Putin would approve, or Putin's explicit approval. He is very much a kind of sock puppet figure for Vladimir Putin. So I think Putin will know about it. He won't. I don't think he's not going to. Medvedev's not going to be in trouble now. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few days. I suspect we'll have another phone call between Donald Trump and Putin, and it might end up with Trump going on Truth Social and saying, just had a great phone call with Vladimir Putin, we're going to end the war in Ukraine. Even if the war is not going to end in Ukraine, Trump will claim some kind of victory because that's how he does diplomacy.
All right, Freddie, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much.
Fascinating, isn't it? Right, back to domestic politics. And the NHS has been accused of handing out free passes to almost 1 million asylum seekers. That's over the past 5 years.
Well, figures reveal an array of NHS services, free prescriptions, free dental, free travel to appointments, all issued between 2019 and 2024.
And this revelation comes after Donald Trump raised concerns about free speech in this country, following reports that Whitehall was allegedly spying on people who were critical of issues like legal immigration.
Let's talk to the editor of Spiked Online, Tom Slater. Tom, good morning to you. What do you make of this?
Well, on the question of these free passes, these HC2 passes, as they're called in the lingo, I think it's a reminder that so many of the problems around illegal migration and asylum are just not going away. The fact that 1 million of these were dished out over the past 5 years, 4 of which were under a Tory government, is worth remembering, will continue to raise this issue. And I think if who we were talking about here were clearly kind of people who'd come through a legitimate asylum route that the public were broadly in support of, I don't think things like this would bother public opinion particularly. But because people have recognised and noticed that asylum, particularly the small boats, have become a means of illegal migration, effectively, people see this and they smell a rat. And I think it's one thing about the public's attitudes towards this that gets missed, particularly on the left of politics sometimes, is that it really grates against people's sense of fairness as much as anything else. I've paid into the system. Yeah. I'm actually struggling to access the health system these days, and yet free dental, free travel to appointments, free wigs even is part of this HC2 pass if they've got alopecia or something. Again, it's just a reminder of how unfair the system feels for many people.
Well, that's right, because it's all based on people who are low earners, particularly low earners, which, of course, anyone coming in claiming to need help here is a no earner, basically, because we stop them from trying to earn. But there are lots of low earners in this country who will moan about this and say, well, hang on, I can't access any sort of care, dental, GPs or otherwise. So this is going to cause unease in the country.
No, absolutely. And obviously there are so many stories in the headlines day after day about this issue, whether it's people claiming asylum on bogus grounds, whether it's crime associated with people who are staying in some of those migrant hotels. And it's just so clear that whoever is going to lead this country needs to get a grip on this, because public opinion is focused on this issue now. It's not going away. And if anything, people feel like the issue is getting worse rather than better.
Yeah, and it is the perception, which is the problem here. I mean, this is the thing, and it's not that we want to, and certainly in no way do we want to incite anything at all. However, you can sense, you only need to get out there, especially if you're travelling up and down the country a lot, the sense of what is literally simmering under the surface at the moment.
No, absolutely. I think it's been inflamed by the sense that whoever people vote for, however they make their views known, nothing happens. You know, they voted for consecutive Tory governments on pledges to get a handle on immigration, in which immigration hit record levels. It's quite clear that public opinion has always been very clearly against, certainly illegal migration, the kind of out-of-control asylum system that we have, and yet nothing seems to happen. We hit 25,000 small boats crossings.
And what seems to be making it worse is we also feel now that if we raise concerns about it, then we are going to be clamped down on under this free speech problem. We've always thought in this country we have the right to... It's inherent. We don't have to have a constitution telling us we have a right to free speech. It's inherent in our how old we are and the way we've developed as a society. And suddenly to have a Labour government actually saying, no, I'm afraid you've got to really be careful about what you say and when, and if it is in any way critical of these very issues that you do feel concerned about, then they're clamping down. It's Orwellian, isn't it?
No, absolutely. It's incredibly sinister. And some of the posts that were being flagged by the government, this is the revelations in the Telegraph in recent days, were not inciting material. This wasn't people saying, go and attack this place, go and do this, go and do that. It was people talking about illegal migrants being kind of fighting age males, airing concerns about the fact that there are predominantly men who are coming over in small boats, so on and so forth. These were things that were being flagged to the social media companies by government because they reflected what they called concerning narrative.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, even using the term concerning narrative is utterly crazy because it's so subject to opinion.
Exactly. And who is to decide what isn't and isn't concerning? Surely that's for the public to decide what it is that they want to air their views about. I think the problem is we've got this Labour government in particular, although successive governments arguably as well, have got it into their heads that if you allow people to talk about these issues, all hell would break loose. I would argue the opposite is probably true. The more that you suppress discussion, the more people might, at the edges, start to lash out in ways that we don't want to see.
You feel that they're more or less saying that we're the problem by talking about it. In actual fact, that doesn't make the problem go away, clamping down on our free speech, does it?
No, absolutely. And surely if we want to work our way through these issues to try and work out what is a sane but humane way to deal with the question of the small boats or the question of migration, then you should have as free and open a debate as possible. If anything, you inflame the extremes when you crack down on people's ability to raise more reasonable concerns.
Yeah, you do. But then these are politicians at the end of the day, and what are politicians obsessed with? And that's winning the next election. And you only have to look at that. It doesn't take a genius to say people are going to vote for someone who says they are going to do... who is determined to do something about it, not just say it, but who actually will do something about it. And yet they don't seem to get that into their skulls.
No, not
somehow.
I mean, particularly this Labour government, I think, is almost constitutionally incapable of dealing with this issue, partly because it still probably doesn't take it that seriously, thinks that this is just something that's whipped up. I think they get it that it's an electoral issue. They understand that it's important. They've listened to the focus group people. That's about as far as it goes. And also because of the sorts of things that might need to be looked at, whether it's our existing human rights legislation, whether it's membership of the ECHR. This is a government run by human rights lawyers from top to bottom. So this is something which I think they were always going to struggle to do, because there is no neat technocratic fix to this in a way that I think Keir Starmer thinks there might be.
Do you feel free speech? I mean, from your viewpoint and the organisation you work for, do you feel that at the moment free speech is under threat in this country?
No, absolutely. I mean, we've had laws cracking down on free speech for many years in this country. Certainly don't have the protections that America have enjoyed. But if you think about what's been happening in recent years, the Online Safety Act, you've got a Labour government which is interested in expanding crackdowns on things like Islamophobia or re-looking at the question of press regulation. This is a government that is really kind of authoritarian to its core. It thinks every problem is downstream from there being too much freedom of speech. So it is a very perilous moment. It's not to say that all is lost, but I think it's telling that, having written about this issue for a very long time, the public have really noticed it now in a way they haven't previously because of how bad it's gotten, precisely.
All right, Tom, thanks very much indeed.
In the interests of being fair, let's just give you the NHS statement on these free passes. The NHS is legally required to provide healthcare services to asylum seekers, including access to help with health costs through the NHS Low Income Scheme. On the issue of free speech, a government spokesperson said, "Free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy. The Online Safety Act protects it. However, we make no apologies for flagging to platforms content which is contrary to their own terms of service and which can result in violent disorder on our streets."
19 minutes past 8 and a US jury has ruled Tesla partially responsible for the death of a young woman who was hit by a car on autopilot in Florida. Now, Tesla blamed the driver, who admitted he was distracted by his phone when the car ran through a red light. But jurors decided Tesla shared fault by allowing the vehicle to operate on roads it wasn't designed for. Tesla says it will appeal.
Italy's controversial deal to process asylum seekers in Albania has now been dealt a major setback. The European Court of Justice ruled that Italy's definition of what is a safe country breaches EU law. The judgment has been met with fury from Rome, with critics arguing that it weakens border controls.
And if you fancy a fish supper tonight, how about this? It's a fish and chip shop in Kent, which will sell you a meal for £65. Archie's in Thanet. It's, to be fair, it's a meal for four. It's a 2-kilo battered cod, and it's what they call a big fish meal. So 4 people, 4 portions of chips, all the rest of it. But of course, we know it's making headlines because going down the chippy isn't as cheap as it used to be. How is it the chip shops, chips, you cannot get chips anywhere else like you get in a chip shop?
No, you can't. Don't know why.
No, I don't know why.
I don't know why. Very special about them.
It's a question I wish I'd asked years ago because my grandma and granddad ran a chippy.
Oh, what, maybe somebody watching runs a chippy?
Yeah, so let us know, why is it?
Chips from a chippy taste different and better. There's no doubt. And it's the texture as well. It's just right.
Fluffy.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's the secret? We'd love to know.
Yes, we would, please.
And by the way, British potatoes are great as well.
Oh, yes.
Just that it's been pointed out to me.
Your Cyprus
My
potatoes.
Cyprus potatoes are doing particularly well at the moment, but British potatoes, fine. I'm in trouble.
Grow British next time, Diamond.
I want it to grow just once because they're nice.
Here's the weather.
It's before we joined the common market. We used to buy a lot of potatoes from Cyprus.
Did we?
They were always
Are they waxy or starchy?
No, they're fluffy too.
Oh, right.
I don't know a lot about potatoes, but I'm learning.
Right.
I'll pass it on as I go.
Very good.
From AI.
Here's the weather.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Floris arrives on Monday, but this weekend at least starts fine with sunny spells for many of us before some rain moves in overnight. Always the possibility of the odd shower across parts of eastern England through the day. Mostly, though, it's going to be a dry day. Sunny spells, yes, but a lot of cloud around as well, so not wall-to-wall sunshine by any stretch of the imagination. And it's going to feel pleasant out there, even if temperatures aren't especially high. Average for the time of year, 24 Celsius in the south, 21 further north. Here's the cloud and rain as it thickens in the northwest, end of the afternoon going into the evening. But ahead of that, much of the cloud thins and disappears, so plenty of fine weather going into the evening. Still warm with light winds out there if you've got Saturday evening plans. It's looking pretty decent across the whole of the UK. One exception, that rain starting to move into the Outer Hebrides. It's going to be light and patchy at first before some heavier stuff arrives overnight. And really, much of the wet weather turns up after dark, I think, into the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, on and off throughout much of the evening, but then turning heavier, more persistent after midnight. It spreads across much of Scotland, pushes into northern and western England as well as Wales, and it's going to be a mild night for most of us with temperatures holding up in the mid-teens. We do start off Sunday with some sunshine across East Anglia and the southeast, but this weather system is quick to topple southeastwards across the UK. A heavy spell of rain for northern England, North Wales, more showery for South Wales into southwest England, and then it moves into the Midlands, East Anglia, and eventually the southeast by the afternoon. Brighter skies further north with a few showers before it turns very windy as Storm Floris hits on Monday.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Right, at 8:24, time for the brand new Great British Giveaway now. It's something we've all dreamed of, the chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a whole year. Well, GB News is going to pay a year's mortgage or rent for you, up to a whopping 20 grand. Plus, you'll be given 5 grand in tax-free cash. If you fancy a go at winning that for yourself, here's how.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British Giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. It really is your chance to chill out and enjoy the coming year on us. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, best of luck with that. Now, still to come, you may have heard that Jeremy Clarkson's farm has been hit by tuberculosis, which is terrible for farmers, and it's not uncommon. So we're asking, what is being done to protect Britain with our livestock and our livelihoods? We'll tell you more in a moment.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the
because
failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Yes, we did it.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. We couldn't have done it without you.
Absolutely not. It is down to each and every single one of you who chooses to watch us, to listen to us, and to be a part of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
This is just the beginning. Britain's #1 news channel.
Jeremy Clarkson's on the front page of the Times today. I don't know if you watch his programme, Clarkson's Farm, which I must...
Are you an addict?
I'm a total addict. It's really, really brilliant. And what is fascinating is that to watch him try to keep the farm going, to run the farm month in, month out, and the problems it goes through. And it sort of paints a picture of what our farmers in this country have to put up with, have to do all the time. Well, of course, the latest problem that's hit him, and I know farmers everywhere will say, I'm afraid that's, again, part of farming life, is bovine tuberculosis, which has hit one of his cows who is pregnant with 2 babies, calves.
So that's money.
It's money, and it's also heart-rending as well, because, Jeremy gets fond of his cattle, and you do it as well. And, of course, the ultimate thing they're going to have to do is destroy the animal. And
that'll have to go. They've also got a bull, I think, which is an inconclusive test. If you have 2 they've got to be tested again. If it's another inconclusive, then that has to go as well.
And you wonder how much of the herd may then be affected.
So it's a pricey and distressing business. Let's talk to farmer and former Dairy Board Chairman of the National Farmers Union, Michael Oakes. Michael, good to see you this morning. I mean, look, this has hit Jeremy Clarkson, so it makes headlines. It hits farmers up and down the country all the time. Have we taken at least as a nation, taken our finger off the pulse when it comes to these sort of problems for farmers?
No, I think farmers have been very focused on actually eradicating TB and animal disease, and animal welfare and food safety is our key priority. But I mean, unfortunately, politics gets in the way on occasions, and the policymakers aren't led by the science, because votes are involved, unfortunately. I mean, luckily we did start a cult of badgers. I mean, we want healthy badgers, we want healthy cattle. You know, farmers use a lot of biosecurity. We try and minimise the risk. You know, every cow has got a passport, so traceability is excellent. And as a cow moves around the country, if it goes from one farm to another, there's a database where we know those animals are. But the one factor we can't control in TB is the disease in the wildlife, and predominantly badgers.
Well, yeah, and I know, Michael, you mentioned a badger cull. I mean, that was done a number of years ago. It's hugely controversial. You know, it doesn't go down well generally with the British population. I mean, are there no other ways around it? I mean, the TB vaccinations, are they not a thing we can put into place?
I mean, I personally know farmers who are working with wildlife groups on actually, you know, trialling badger vaccination, and I also know farmers who are working on, along with the government, on developing a vaccine for cattle. Yes, that would be absolutely amazing. It probably wouldn't be 100% effective, as no vaccine is, but ultimately, you know, that is what we all want. But we're not there yet. We've seen a massive decrease in TB in the areas where we've reduced the badger numbers. It's not culling all the badgers, it's reducing them to a level where they're healthier. But then you look at Wales, where they've had no culls, and just this last year, you've seen an 18% increase in the amount of cattle that have been lost on farms. And it's not just, you know, none of us want to lose cattle, but I mean, I was shut down last time about 2 years ago with TB, and we were testing, it was a Thursday afternoon, and the whole mood of everybody on the farm, it was like somebody had taken the oxygen out of everybody's lungs. It was just devastating. And that's a scenario that farmers go through week in, week out, because, you know, nobody wants to lose cattle, nobody wants to, but then you've got, you know, the Animal Plant and Health Agency as an unwanted business partner. Everything you want to do then, you have to get consent, quite rightly, but they only work 9 to 5. You wait, you know, and you've got to run your business around the rules that TB then dictate. And it's a massive financial strain. It's a massive mental health issue on many farms, because farmers do, as you see Jeremy and his, you know, his team, they get attached to their animals, and a healthy, what looks like an healthy animal, having to go off a slaughter is actually quite devastating.
I mean, they tried culling in that area, I think, on Jeremy Clarkson's farm, but it clearly isn't enough. I mean, are we doing enough to support farmers as they fight what is a terrible disease and can absolutely ruin you?
I mean, all we would like is both, you know, the devolved governments and Westminster is to be led by the science. The Chief Vet has clearly said that the culls have actually created a positive result. And many farmers that are in those cull areas, you know, there's far less farms that are shut down with TB. But as I said earlier, we don't want to eradicate the badger. We want healthy badgers as well as healthy cattle. The two can live side by side. There's many things that farmers can and do. You know, unfortunately, we can make the buildings so that the badgers can't actually get into the buildings and sort of, you know, get into the areas that the cattle are. But this time of year, many cattle, quite rightly, are out grazing, and that's where the badgers live, unfortunately. You know, badgers tend to go to the toilet in one spot. It's something I've found out since we got shut down with TB. So you find those spots and you can fence them off so that the cattle don't come into contact with where the badgers use as a toilet, unfortunately. But so there's many small things that farmers can do and are doing. There is a TB advice service which will go into a farm that's never been shut down before, and it say, what can you do to minimise the risk? But the one thing we have no control over, in many cases, and no control at all in Wales, is the badger. And ultimately, we haven't got an effective way of vaccinating badgers yet. They're quite difficult to catch. They're quite difficult to sort of identify. And, you know, all that work is ongoing. As I said, farmers are involved in badger vaccination and cattle vaccination.
Well, hopefully this highlights the issue so that we can look at it again. Michael, it's good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gosh, devastating, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
No, and we still don't know how it's going to turn out because it's ongoing at the moment. Anyway, still to come. Do stay with us because Aidan McGee will be here with all your latest sporting news. That's next.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Aidan's here with the sport. Good morning. Should we talk cricket?
Yes, why not? We've got day 3 of the 5th and final test today at the Oval between England and India. It's been a fascinating, twisty and turny test so far, Stephen. It really has, and it comes to a head, not necessarily today, but I think England have really got their work cut out if they're going to win the series. They're 2-1 up from 3 so far. From 4 so far, because India forced a draw at Old Trafford last week, having batted on until the final moments. And today it's just not been a very kind wicket for batters, to be honest. I mean, they're not getting anything like the numbers they were getting earlier in the series. I mean, India lead by 52 runs at the end of day 2 as of yesterday. There's been some real needle as well on the field of play. The Indian players have been winding up Ben Duckett and Joe Root. Joe Root got very angry yesterday. Usually when they're bowled out, the Indian players have been enjoying what they call sledging, which is an old English cricketing term, well, international cricketing term actually, but it involves saying some pretty unkind things to the player who's just been dismissed. But look, let's hope it may not sound like cricket as the old saying goes, but it should be an exciting finale today, and let's hope England can do it. But as I say, it's not kind for batters today.
Well, then we got cricket in India, and our Lions are in Australia.
That's at the Oval in London. The cricket.
Oh, right. It's not in India.
No, it's not in India.
For some reason I thought it was. No. But the Lions are in Australia.
They are indeed, 11 o'clock this morning, chasing a clean sweep. They're calling it a wallaby whitewash. It hasn't happened officially, I don't think, since 1927, but in those days it didn't just involve Australia, it involved other nations as well. It wasn't just just Australia. It wasn't just a tour of Australia. It was a multinational tournament, if you like. And back then it was just the Lions. It wasn't the British and Irish Lions, which has been since 2001. But the incentive is there. No room for sentiment either. 2 changes made. They're going out to win this game and they want to finish the series in a flourish.
Right. Lovely. Aidan, thank you. We'll catch up with you in the next hour, actually, won't we? Because it's a Saturday. But we've got the papers with Matthew Talbot and Charlie Rowley in a couple of minutes. Before that, if you want a little bit of holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst the UK gears up for Storm Floris, it turns increasingly hot in Portugal, although there'll be some heavy rain in Croatia and Italy, particularly the central part of Italy. Thunderstorms expected here, thunderstorms moving through parts of Croatia and Bosnia. But for much of Iberia, it's sunny spells and increased heat. Higher temperatures than average for much of Portugal. And that's expected to continue into the start of next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Right, time for the papers with former Conservative advisor Charlie Rowley and former Labour advisor Matthew Talbot. Good morning to you both. Charlie, let's have a look at the Daily Mirror, should we? Prince Andrew may have to testify about Jeffrey Epstein or something.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
or something like that. As if we care. Because, it's a story that, keeps coming.
Yes, I mean, we've been here before and he still has managed to wriggle out of actually having to say anything.
Exactly. And, he's no longer really a working royal. He's been denounced. He gave, obviously, a terrible interview not so long ago, infamous interview, which was a complete car crash. He's settled things out of court, which for him, I think he feels that that settles things. He's always denied any sort of wrongdoing. With,
he obviously thought that settlement would shut us all up, but it hasn't shut the matter up at all.
No. And that's why, this American lawyer, I've forgotten her name now, who was trying to get Prince Andrew to testify and to come clean, in her words, and explain every, ounce of the relationship that he had with convicted sex predator Jeffrey Epstein. Now, whether he'll do... And she claims that him obfuscating and not doing that, not wanting to do that, is, an admission of guilt, so to speak, which is obviously ridiculous, and that's not how the legal system works. But as the American legal system is also very different and very...
well, he's not going to do it in a million years. I mean, why would you, frankly?
No, I mean, Prince Andrew has probably learned from what talking does for him, and it's not normally...
Oh, I don't know. Do you think he's learned? I mean,
he's not been on the telly since, and I think that's probably the best thing for him. I think less said, the better. Good looking, trying to get him to testify. He's paid his sort of way out of...
Meanwhile, there's a new book out all about him, being serialised in the Daily Mail, and I have to say, it is... Well, juicy isn't the... I mean, juicy is the only word I can think of. It's tittle-tattle, but it's quite destructive,
damning, isn't it?
Tittle-tattle, yeah. They call him His Royal Oafishness. He's sex-obsessed, vulgar, ignorant, entitled and breathtakingly rude. So say hundreds of people in this book. It's a real nasty bit of work, actually.
It'll make a hell of a tombstone, won't it?
Won't it?
Oh, yeah.
Something interesting to go on there.
I mean, he's not here to defend himself. If only he were, he'd dig himself deeper, I would
Well, this is... he might not do himself any favours. Can we have a look, Matthew, at the Times? Trigger warning... It's an odd headline. Trigger warnings for students are firing blanks.
Yes, maybe not quite what you think it is. There's been some researchers in the US that have looked into trigger warnings and the idea of what effect they may have, and it appears negligible at best that, students suffer any differently from PTSD or otherwise. I always struggle with stuff like this. I've had my fair share of hard times and trauma and everything else, like lots of people. I think if you warned me something was coming up, I don't think it would change. And actually, I really worry that we are mollycoddling our young people and not normalising resilience enough. We're all going to go through hard times, some potentially horrific times in some sort of unfortunate cases.
But surely they take no notice of trigger warnings either.
Well, if you know it's quick, what do? You turn it off?
If it says this is liable to offend, you're probably more likely to read it.
Well, possibly.
Well, yes, for us. I mean, if I get one, it says partial nudity. I'm always a bit disappointed.
Yes,
frankly.
I think, well, is there not more?
Is there not more?
Yeah.
But no, it does say that may contain bad language and substance abuse and all that. But just in a drama, and sometimes you watch it and you think, well, I didn't really notice any of that.
No, I think
someone had a cigarette at some point.
I think with social media, we see all sorts now, which maybe isn't a good thing, actually, for the sort of human brain to be taking in. We see all sorts of awful things, good things. The TV's the last sort of offensive thing on most people's minds, I think.
But this is ridiculous. This is at university. This is about students, where you should go to university, where you should have your... you shouldn't go to university, but when you go to university, you should have your thoughts challenged. You should be moved in uncomfortable ways, because it's about new thinking. It's about things that you haven't been exposed to.
Yes, I hadn't read that bit. Is it trigger warnings that they may find a lecture distressing?
It's ridiculous. Because if you had that trigger warning, if you're a snowflake, like some of the woke people that you see at universities these days, they might not turn up, which will be bad for them, bad for their education, bad for their mindset and challenging. You need university to challenge your mind. You need to be moved and understand someone else's point of view. So having a trigger warning, even if you can't take a trigger warning at university, frankly, you shouldn't be there.
Well, I totally agree.
It does worry me. And actually, I used to love university as an obviously shy and reserved character. In challenging other people's perspectives of the world, and they would challenge me back, and I felt it made me a better person for that, and a better debater, and all sorts of other things. So very odd, very mollycoddled, and concerning really for the future of young people for me.
Yeah. What's Japanese interval walking, Charlie? Which is, I know, something you've taken up. I don't know what it is.
He was doing it
It's in the time.
I've taken up many things to change my lifestyle. Would you like me to demonstrate?
Yeah.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can here. I don't think we've got the space, because you need 3 minutes of high-intensity sort of walking. Well, I say high-intensity. It's been described as if you're running late to the nursery kind of walking. You know, you're picking up a child from school or something, so you sort of mince along.
OK. Speed walking.
Speed walking.
Rather than running.
In a mincing fashion for about 3 minutes.
Can you manage that, Charlie?
Pardon?
Can you manage that?
I would hope so.
Would you like me to demonstrate?
No, really not.
Sorry,
no.
3 minutes of that, and
And then you have to slow it down for another sort of 3 minutes, and then you speed up again, and you repeat this 5 times, no less than 5 times. So basically 30 minutes, I think that
gets
takes
the heart going, I would
Gets the heart going, tackles heart disease, lowers cholesterol. It's brilliant amongst, I think, the over 60s, of which none of us on this panel, I believe.
Well, that's very kind of you, but there you go.
How old are you, Steve? You're not. You haven't.
No, I'm not. I am very slightly younger than Ms. Diamond.
The makeup
Only
department
slightly.
does wonders here, but
I haven't had any.
I used to do that with the dog, though. You could take
Mince?
no, not mince, but do some speed walking, because she had very, very short legs, and so she had to sort of run to catch up, and then you.
It's good for you, but also
it is good for you.
This is rubbish, this interval one, because in a former life I was a walk leader. I was qualified walk leader. It was the idea of getting people with
You've had a
illnesses.
varied life, Matthew.
Oh, I've had more jobs than you can imagine. But it was also the social aspect of getting people out, meeting people, and you would take them on walks. And the idea is that you would walk for the 3 minutes, as Charlie said, but for longer than 3 minutes, at high intensity, to the point where you'd be breathless holding a conversation. You're not running, but it's getting the heart rate going. Well, you just do that for half an hour. I don't know why they're slowing down with this interval stuff. It doesn't make sense to me. You're getting more benefit for walking at a good pace for half an hour.
No, it's probably because then your body doesn't adjust to it in the same
exhausting,
way.
excuse me. You need a little break.
Well, entitled to a break. I just think,
I think it's a great
get on the
idea.
horse or get off, really, with this sort of stuff. Get your walk on or don't.
Look, the point is, if you take the dog out with you, you don't feel so silly.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for walking the dog.
You know, the problem is, though, if it's as naughty as our little puppy, you chase him round half the time. You do more than interval walking. You're taking it round the field.
Well, I just look forward to the Charlie Rowley Power Mince
We'll
class.
do it later. We'll do it later, shall we?
do that online. You'll be fine.
Well, this is where it's come from. It's a TikTok sensation.
Well, there you
I'll
go.
bet it is.
Right, you two. We'll see you a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Thanks very much
In the
indeed.
meantime, let's catch up with the weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The next few days offer, well, classic changeable summer weather. Some fine conditions for most of us through tomorrow. A bit of rain heading south on Sunday, and then we're keeping our eyes on a storm developing for Monday. Through the day today, we've seen the odd shower here and there, but tending to clear away. Some thicker cloud bringing some patchy rain across Norfolk and Suffolk through the early hours, but most places will be dry and a cooler night with temperatures in rural areas dipping to single figures, most towns and cities 11 to 14 Celsius. So, for many places, it's a good-looking day on Saturday. Still a bit breezy along these North Sea coasts, but not as brisk as the winds have been through the day today. Still the chance that that breeze could bring 1 or 2 showers across the far northeast of Scotland, but most places will be dry. Fine bright start for Northern Ireland. We'll cloud over here a little bit as we go through the day. Sunny spells for Northern England and Wales. Again, across East Anglia, the small chance of 1 or 2 very light showers through the day. But for the most part, dry, bright, some good spells of sunshine coming through as well. Feeling a little fresh first thing in the morning, certainly, but with the help of a bit of sunshine and with the winds being lighter than today, it'll feel quite pleasant, I suspect, by the afternoon as temperatures get up into the high teens and low 20s, 23, 24, likely across parts of the south. Let's say with those lighter winds, feeling warmer than today on the east coast. In the northwest, it will cloud over a little bit, and we are going to see some rain pushing in here through the night, making for a damp start for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Pretty quickly, though, that rain pulls away from here, spreading into northern England, Wales and the Midlands by lunchtime, and then parts of East Anglia and the southeast, although the far southeast may stay dry until quite late on. That's from this weather front. That clears through, and then look at this. This is a developing area of low pressure, named Storm Floris by the Met Office. We're concerned about the winds on Monday, particularly across northern Britain. Unseasonably strong winds that could cause some significant disruption. Stay up to date with the forecast this weekend.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year. We'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Farage, Monday to Thursday from 7 p.m.
Just a few weeks after reuniting with Black Sabbath and performing a farewell concert for fans. And I'm joined now by Alex Dyke, radio DJ, broadcaster, formerly of the BBC, who's going to pay a bit of a tribute, I think, to Ozzy Osbourne. Alex, welcome.
Thank you very much, Nigel. You know, Ozzy will probably be remembered as the guy who shouted at his wife in the Osbourne's reality TV show from the early 2000s. But there was so much more, Nigel, to Ozzy than that. He was a pioneer of heavy metal rock. And you've got to remember, in the very early 70s, the rock that was coming out of Britain after the Beatles had split up was progressive rock. It was self-indulgent 6-minute drum solos and things like that, you know, when you think back to early Genesis and Jethro Tull. But Ozzy wasn't that at all. He was a heavy metal pioneer and a heavy metal hero. He sold over 100 million albums with his band Black Sabbath, who fired him in... Nigel, did you know he was fired by Black Sabbath?
I didn't know that. For what reason?
He was fired, Nigel, because of his drug and drink problems. He was addicted. And when we do look back at him 20 years ago in the early noughties in the Osbournes, you could see then he was frail. His body was shot because he had abused his body so badly through... drink and drugs. But Sharon Osbourne, of course, his wife, was his second wife. She was his manager, and he married her in the early 80s. And he came back as a solo star with a brilliant first album called Blizzard of Oz. Ozzy was all about showbiz.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. President Trump's nuclear threat.
The US president deploys 2 nuclear submarines towards Russia in response to the country's former president, Dmitry Medvedev.
Russia reminded Washington that Moscow still has Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities following the US president talking tough about Ukraine. Now, Trump says that's a threat he can't ignore.
We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people.
Nearly 1 million NHS free passes, covering everything from prescriptions to dental work, have apparently been handed out to asylum seekers in the last 5 years. But with British families struggling to get appointments, you might ask, who's the NHS really for?
crack, it's all about the song, it's all about the sea, it's all about culture and tradition, Ulster Scots traditions, dancing, singing. It looks like it's going to be a great weekend.
Well, Portaferry's Sea Shanty Festival returns with 4 days of folk tunes, boat races and a lot of fun on Strangford Lough.
I'm at the Seals and Fair. At the top of it is sea shantying. We'll have more. Take it away, boys.
Well, now we are ready to head for the Horn. Away, hey, roll and go. Our boots and our claws, boys, are all in the pond. To me, rollicking Randy Dandy, oh.
Now, a Wallaby whitewash is on for the British and Irish Lions as they target an historic clean sweep of victories against Australia in Sydney later this morning, and the end of an era for Tottenham Hotspur. Captain Heung-min Son has announced he'll leave the club after a decade at White Hart Lane.
Storm Floris is expected to cause disruptive winds on Monday for many parts of the UK, but before that happens, actually, it's a pretty decent start to the weekend. Full details coming up soon.
Just gone 9 o'clock, I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, our main news this morning, and it's something we're not used to talking about, is it? It's a potential nuclear threat problem. President Trump has deployed 2 nuclear submarines towards Russia. There are tensions with Moscow, of course, we know that, and it does break decades, actually, of Pentagon secrecy.
Yeah, the move follows a fiery exchange between Dmitry Medvedev, who is Russia's former president, who has warned Donald Trump online to soften his stance on Ukraine, and he reminded him of Moscow's nuclear arsenal.
Now, normally, deployments like this are kept secret. They've only been revealed in the past during a major crisis like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Here's what the president told reporters outside the White House.
We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people.
Let's talk to the deputy editor of The Spectator, Freddie Gray. I mean, look, our hackles rise just with the very terminology of all of this, Freddie. We've got to be careful, haven't we, not to over-egg the pudding. Is this just brinksmanship?
It is brinksmanship, but that doesn't mean it isn't extremely dangerous at the same time. It's very peculiar that social media is part of the theatre of war now. I mean, what's going on between Medvedev and Trump at the moment is an echo of what was going on between Ayatollah Khamenei and Trump just a few weeks ago with Iran, just before the Iran strike that Trump launched. So, yes, it is brinksmanship. It feels silly because it's on social media. It is possibly a distraction from Donald Trump because he had some pretty bad economic news after some pretty good economic news earlier in the week. He had a negative jobs report came out in America yesterday, and he was very angry about that. So it's possible that he is sort of throwing up a story to create a lot of headlines to distract from that, which he does do. I think even his closest allies would admit that he does do that. But yes, it's brinksmanship, but frightening brinksmanship. And while it seems silly, it's also very dangerous.
Medvedev doing anyway, speaking out like this?
Well, this is what he does now. He's a social media troll. It's extraordinary to think you can be president of Russia. I mean, admittedly, a bit of a joke president because everyone knew that Putin was in charge all along. And now he's a sort of person who winds people up on social media. But we see this with other world figures. We see this with Iranian leaders. We see this with Chinese diplomats. They use social media to agitate, to push their strategy in aggressive ways, to troll, effectively, to be wind-up merchants. And it's very odd, but this is the world we're living in.
Phil, one of our viewers and listeners, has just been in touch in the last second or so, saying Trump is risking World War III over a mean tweet. I mean, would you agree with that, or do you think actually this is something over which he actually has to have a visible response?
I mean, he says he had to have a visible response, and I suppose you could argue that. I mean, there's always submarine movements from Russia into Western spaces. Certainly, tensions with Russia are rising because you have to remember, of course, when Donald Trump came in, when he was inaugurated, he seemed to be giving Putin everything he wanted. People who were very anti-Russia in the British establishment were furious with Trump. Remember that press conference with Zelensky where they had the shouting match. It was widely thought that Trump was selling out Ukraine to Russia's benefit. That has completely gone out the window now. Trump is very angry with Putin. He feels Putin tapped him along, to use his phrase, played him. And now Trump is agitating in a very different direction. So that's the sort of bigger picture. I think the mean tweets element is just part of this increasing hostility Trump feels towards Russia. And he wants to create leverage to create a peace deal. So what you're seeing here is what we call the madman tactic, the madman theory of diplomacy, which is he wants Russia to think he's capable of doing anything. And that means that perhaps in a few days' time he'll have a phone call with Vladimir Putin, and he will then announce that actually he's not going to war. He's not going to nuclear war with Vladimir Putin. He's going to try and achieve a peace deal.
We've never had two egos quite like this, though, before, have we? Sometimes we've had a massive ego on one side of the planet and not so much on the other. Here we've got two very vain men, Putin and President Trump. And no matter what you think of their politics, it's all about their vanity, isn't it? So what happens next? Who will win in these stakes?
Well, it is about vanity, certainly, with Medvedev and Trump. Putin tends to keep off social media directly himself, although he's quite capable of trying to wind people up. So, yes, it is, of course, about vanity, but there is also massive strategic questions about Ukraine. Ukraine is a sort of lynch point in world diplomacy. Is it part of the West? Is it part of the East? This is a big question that a lot of people are dying to try and resolve.
Okay. Yeah, and you wonder what Zelensky thinks as well. You know, he must be biting his lip. He would love to tweet something like, "I did tell you that Putin was like this." You can't trust him.
Well, Zelensky has figured out, I think the Ukrainians have figured out, that their best asset in these things, this is how crazy Trump world is the president's wife, Melania Trump. She is Slovenian, Eastern European. And she is apparently very concerned about Ukraine, very distressed by the images coming out of Ukraine. And Trump has said that. He said that more than once, that he talks to his wife about it, and she's very angry with Russia. So Melania Trump is Zelensky's best ally at the moment.
Very interesting.
OK. Freddie, thanks very much indeed. Appreciate it. It is. I tell you what, the thing that worries me most of all about this is that we were all saying, everybody was saying, Trump's being played by the Kremlin at the beginning of this, and the only person who didn't seem to see it was Trump. And now it's sort of come to pass. So it just worries me slightly that something that was pretty obvious
to us
wasn't spotted by...
But then we don't know the sort of nature of the phone calls they had.
No, that's
maybe
true.
Trump was right to say he felt he was getting along with him.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's interesting, the Melania factor as well now, because we're seeing more of her than I think we did in the first term.
Yes, she's very...
She's around a lot
not on
now.
the scene.
Yeah.
Right, should we look at the NHS and migrants? Because it's been accused of handing out free passes to about 1 million asylum seekers over the last 5 years.
Figures reveal an array of NHS services, like free prescriptions, dental care, travel to appointments, were issued between 2019 and 2024.
Let's talk to the editor of Spiked Online, Tom Slater, who's here. There's an argument to say, well, some accommodation has to be made, but the optics of this are terrible when we know people trying to get access to the NHS really struggle.
No, absolutely. It's one of those things where, of course, when people are here, when they're the government's responsibility, of course they should be housed, of course they should be accounted for, of course they should have access to healthcare. But because the asylum system has become such a mess, because of the fact that people know, the public have noticed now that this has become basically just a route for illegal migration for a lot of people, to be perfectly frank. This just feels not only out of control but unfair. People are struggling to get a GP appointment. People are having their routine procedures, constantly postponed, even when it isn't a week where strikes are on, and yet they're seeing this in the newspapers. And I think it's getting to the point now where this issue is the defining one of British politics. I mean, of course, there's other things going on in the world. The economy is still not in a great shape, all the rest of it. But I think this is why you're seeing reform rise, and this is why you're seeing Labour's fortunes plummet so steadily, because no one even believes that they're interested in getting a grip on some of these issues.
And this is why free speech is now becoming part of the same concern, isn't it? Because people are worried. People are so worried and concerned about the illegal migration and the legal migration issue that they're saying so openly on social media or whatever. And now they're scared that anything they say might land them in prison.
No, absolutely. And there's sort of two equally concerning strains to this, one of which is the pressure that the government has explicitly been putting on social media companies to kick people off, to remove posts. There were those revelations in recent days where you had the government referring to a post that described some of the illegal migrants as undocumented fighting-age males, saying that was a concerning narrative and urging the social media companies to remove that kind of content. On the flip side of it, you also have people who are being arrested. And when we think back to last summer and the number of arrests which were made for speech, yes, in some cases these were people saying incredibly hateful, despicable things. But there are other cases. There's a gentleman called Jamie Michael in Wales. He just put out a video on Facebook in which he called for the need to get a handle on illegal migration. He wanted a public meeting. He said we need security around schools and parks and so on. He ended up being arrested, held in custody for 17 days. He was eventually acquitted.
17 days?
17 days. He was only allowed home on a tag. He was eventually acquitted because of the fact that he was one of the few people who pleaded not guilty to those charges. And funnily enough, the jury found him not guilty in 17 minutes, so clear to them it was that he hadn't done anything wrong. So in this atmosphere of hysteria and state authoritarianism, a lot of people with perfectly reasonable concerns can be caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, a lot of this... As you say, it is this difficult thing. You can't say people who are here claiming asylum, and whatever route they've come, you can't deny them all level of health care or anything else. I mean, that would be insane. The problem is that the numbers are so high.
Yeah.
This is the issue where it's dwarfing certainly with these free passes, it's absolutely dwarfing what British people are getting.
No, absolutely. And it's one of those things where if people had faith that the asylum system wasn't out of control, that it couldn't be gamed, that this was something that had democratic consent, these issues of have they got access to healthcare or housing would be a lot lower down the priority list. It's because people feel like this doesn't just grate against what they voted for at successive elections. There's this sense that it's unfair. We've been paying into the system our entire lives. We cannot access the services which are supposedly our birthright as citizens here, and yet at the same time this system is being exploited. So I think this is the danger for the government. If they really want to try and maintain some sort of public support for the asylum system, they need to get a handle on it. They need to make sure it's rationally controlled and it's at a level that people are comfortable with. It's quite clearly not at this point.
We asked you an hour ago if you really felt that this was a time when free speech was under threat, and you said yes. So what can we do about this? If you've got an authoritarian government cracking down not on the problem but on the people who are voicing their concern, what are we meant to do about that?
I think it's all the more reason for people to speak up on the issues that they care about, but also on freedom of speech itself. I mean, one thing, it's been incredibly disheartening seeing how much free speech has been limited in recent years. That's the legal restrictions on speech, that's pressure being put on social media companies to restrict speech, general kind of cultural of the cultural turn against free speech, cancel culture and so on. All of that's been very dispiriting. But one thing it has done is I think it's made people aware of just how bad things are, just how much speech is limited in this country, how easily people can get a knock at the door. We're having 30 arrests a day at least at the moment for people posting offensive things on the internet. There was a Time survey a few months ago which found that, and that's just a few pieces of legislation. So given people have noticed it, there's more room to push back against this, to campaign, to make their voices heard. And one thing that is very different now is the government can't get away with doing this. It's something which instantly becomes news. People are outraged about it. So while things are bad, it at the very least has shown people how much is left to fight for, I suppose.
Yeah, well, they can't arrest everybody.
Exactly.
I mean, that's part of the thing with these sort of things. All right, Tom, thanks very much indeed. Well, a spokesperson for the NHS has said the NHS is legally required to provide healthcare services to asylum seekers, including access to help with health costs through the NHS Low Income Scheme.
On the issue of free speech, a government spokesperson said free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy. The Online Safety Act protects it. However, we make no apologies for flagging to platforms content which is contrary to their own terms of service and which can result in violent disorder on our streets.
Interesting. I do think it's interesting, and I think a lot of it is down to the sheer numbers at the moment, which is problematic, isn't it? Right, it's 9:15. A 76-year-old man will appear in court this morning, accused of child cruelty after children fell ill from suspected poisoning at a summer camp in Leicestershire on Sunday. John Reuben from Nottinghamshire has been charged with 3 counts of willful ill-treatment of a child. 8 children from the camp near Melton Mowbray were taken to hospital as a precaution. All, thankfully, are now back home.
A US jury has ruled Tesla partially responsible for the death of a young woman struck by a car on autopilot in Florida. Tesla had blamed the driver, who admitted he was distracted by his phone when the car ran a red light. But jurors decided Tesla shared fault for allowing it to operate on roads that it wasn't designed for. Tesla says they will appeal the decision.
And Italy's controversial deal to process asylum seekers in Albania has had a setback. The European Court of Justice has said that Italy's definition of a safe country breaches EU law. Now, they're furious in Rome about this, apparently. Critics saying it weakens border controls.
I want to know more about that Tesla story. Actually.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It was on autopilot?
Yes. So they always say with these things, if the car is driving itself, the driver still has to have responsibility for the vehicle, and you know, you can't just go to sleep or whatever, you know, or just be on your phone, and the driver has admitted he was on his phone. However,
what's the point of having a car that can be on autopilot?
Well, you've just got to be aware of it.
Let it autopilot.
Well, you're letting it do it, but you've got to be aware. You've got to watch what's going on and be aware of what's happening. However, you know, you can't. If the car has gone through a red light, then why has the car gone through a red light if it's on autopilot?
Yeah. And if it's on autopilot, it should sound an alarm that it's gone through. It should know it's gone through a red light.
Well, yeah, it shouldn't do it.
Well, no, it shouldn't do it. It's very, I mean, that is going to be...
Look, this will be the first of many. We always said this would lead to a lot of court cases to work out who is liable, you know, who pays the insurance.
There was a death in this
yeah.
accident.
Yeah.
We need to know, don't we? Anyway, do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be crossing live to the Portaferry Sea Shanty Festival. Looking forward to that, because I like a sea shanty. First of all, though, your weather now with Aidan McGivern.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Floris arrives on Monday, but this weekend at least starts fine with sunny spells for many of us before some rain moves in overnight. Always the possibility of the odd shower across parts of eastern England through the day. Mostly, though, it's going to be a dry day. Sunny spells, yes, but a lot of cloud around as well, so not wall-to-wall sunshine by any stretch of the imagination. And it's going to feel pleasant out there, even if temperatures aren't especially high. Average for the time of year, 24 Celsius in the south, 21 further north. Here's the cloud and rain as it thickens in the northwest, end of the afternoon going into the evening. But ahead of that, much of the cloud thins and disappears, so plenty of fine weather going into the evening. Still warm with light winds out there. If you've got Saturday evening plans, it's looking pretty decent across the whole of the UK. One exception, that rain starting to move into the Outer Hebrides. It's going to be light and patchy at first before some heavier stuff arrives overnight. And really, much of the wet weather turns up after dark, I think, into the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, on and off throughout much of the evening, but then turning heavier, more persistent after midnight. It spreads across much of Scotland, pushes into northern and western England as well as Wales, and it's going to be a mild night for most of us with temperatures holding up in the mid-teens. We do start off Sunday with some sunshine across East Anglia and the southeast, but this weather system is quick to topple southeastwards across the UK. A heavy spell of rain for northern England, North Wales, more showery for South Wales into southwest England, and then it moves into the Midlands, East Anglia, and eventually the southeast by the afternoon. Brighter skies further north with a few showers before it turns very windy as Storm Floris hits on Monday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as
and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Yes, we did it.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. We couldn't have done it without you.
Absolutely not. It is down to each and every single one of you who chooses to watch us, to listen to us, and to be a part of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
This is just the beginning. Britain's #1 news channel.
Hello again. Now, Northern Ireland's first sea shanty festival is back this year. So how is it their first? I'm a bit confused, but no doubt we'll find out. It's back this year for 4 unforgettable days of maritime celebration, live music, cultural traditions, coastal fun and sea shanties, of course.
Well, actually first launched in 2016, we can tell you, and it combines the rich maritime and seafaring heritage of Portaferry with sea shanties and Ulster Scots culture.
And who best to tell us all about it? GB News reporter Doogie Beattie. Morning, Doogie.
Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Stephen. Yes, welcome to beautiful Portaferry, to the Sounds and Sails Festival. And this year they have brought in the sea shanties. And you know I love my history. Portaferry De Rossa is the oldest constituency, the oldest part of the United Kingdom with a baronry that can be handed down through the female line. So there you go, there's a bit of history. St Patrick would have came up behind us here, up in Strangford Lough. So would of de Courcy, John de Courcy, etc. Of course, he married Afra, the King of Man's daughter, and united the crowns of the Isle of Man and Ireland. But that we're here for the sea shanty singing, which is something I haven't seen before, and I've seen some dreadful singing. But the boys from Cork are joining me because they're coming from all over the British Isles to sing here today. John, why do you come?
Well, I was told not to say the drink. We're here for the crack. It's the camaraderie, the shanty groups all singing together. It's great fun.
And, I mean, how many festivals would you do in a year?
20 to 25.
And one of them is the Electric Picnic.
We're at an Electric Picnic in 4 weeks' time for the 4th consecutive year. We're singing on the Salty Dog stage.
Dressed as pirates, I believe.
Dressed as pirates, and well, we have to disguise ourselves because they wouldn't leave us in otherwise.
And this young man here is 80 next week?
That's right, the 20th of the month, 80, yeah.
And you can still sing. Amazing. What are you going to sing for us now?
We're going to sing, George is going to sing a song called John Kanaka.
Here we go.
I thought I heard the old man say, John Kanaka naka tulay. For today is the holiday. John Kanaka naka tulay. Tulay, oh, tulay. John Kanaka naka tulay. We'll work tomorrow, no work today. John Kanaka naka tulay. For today is the holiday. John Kanaka naka tulay. Tulay, oh, tulay. John Kanaka naka tulay. We're outward bound from Frisco Bay. John Kanaka naka tulay. We're outward bound at the break of day. John Kanaka naka tulay. Tulay, oh, tulay. John Kanaka naka tulay. And when we reach old London town, John Kanaka naka tulay. Sure all them floozies will come down. John Kanaka naka tulay. Tulay, oh, tulay. John Kanaka naka tulay. We're hardtackers, us sailors bold. John Kanaka naka tulay. We're a handsome crew, so I've been told. John Kanaka naka tulay. Tulay, oh, tulay. John Kanaka naka tulay. I thought I heard the old man say, John Kanaka naka tulay. Today is a holiday. John Kanaka naka tulay. Tulay, oh, tulay. John Kanaka naka tulay.
There you go, more of that to come throughout the day. The festival really gets underway at 12 o'clock today. There's lots of stuff to do here, out on the loch, tours, festivals, everything's going on in Portaferry. What a great place to be today.
Fantastic. I tell you, the messages are coming through from our viewers and listeners already, Doogie. You can tell the fellas that everyone is very, very impressed.
And
Lovely
it looks
stuff.
as though you're blessed with good weather as well, which, is matters, doesn't it?
Yeah. Lovely. Vanessa says, I love seeing these reports from different parts of the UK, celebrating British culture. Lovely to see some of Ireland today. Claire says, what a nice break from all the other doom and gloom. And Helena says, lovely, jolly group of Irishmen having the crack. Great.
Good. Do I, eh? Yeah, and all of that. Smashing, and it's nice to have a bit of scenery behind us.
It is.
Lovely.
Oh, doesn't it make you wish we were out and about somewhere?
Really does.
Singing along, and me and you.
Yeah. Well, we'd join in, wouldn't we?
We would join in.
OK, do stay with us. Still to come, Aidan McGee will be here with all your latest sports news. That's next. You're watching GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Dale, so what's all this about? You're involved in this scheme. The idea is that people who've got depression need to get out and about, and football's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up really rather well there. Football is a place for communities. It's a place where you feel a part of something. I know this from my experience of football. I've been running Forest Green for about 15 years now. And chatting to our local GP, who happens to be also our MP, but we just had the idea, why don't we offer football on prescription? Because it'd be a lovely thing to do. Football is a great place to come and meet other people and be a part of something. And it could really help people that are feeling isolated and lonely and you know, other aspects of mental health. So I'm really happy to be taking part in this, and if it works here in Stroud, then we're hoping we'll roll it out nationally, and maybe even the NHS will embrace it as a national programme. That would be great.
This is football clubs that have signed up to voluntarily offer seats to be a part of this programme.
Yeah, and right now it's one football club, Forest Green Rovers, but I hope that football clubs up and down the country and up and down the leagues of football as well, because it doesn't have to be a Premier Championship club. You know, there are lots of great leagues in our country and local clubs for people to go and take part with. So yeah, it's not being paid for by the NHS. It's being paid for currently by Forest Green Rovers.
You're a businessman, though. Surely you must see some, you know, some dollar signs on this one. Sell the tickets to the NHS.
Well, I'm British, so I don't look at dollar signs. But look, I'm primarily an environmentalist, and what I care about is making our country a better place. I spend most of my time pursuing the green economy, but I believe in tax justice, social justice, that kind of stuff. Mental health is a crisis in our country, particularly for men. You know, it's the biggest cause of suicide for the under 50s. Men are affected 3 times more than women. Men don't tend to talk to each other. They don't talk about their problems. And so this is not about money.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Aidan's here with the sport, and we'll start with the Lions.
Absolutely, yeah. 11 o'clock this morning in Sydney, the British and Irish Lions looking to complete a clean sweep, known colloquially as the Wallaby Whitewash.
Oh, Wallaby
now,
Whitewash.
It's difficult to do in most years. I'd say it's easier this year just because this is the worst Australia team I've seen in many a long year. They're ranked 8th in the world. But, look, they're not taking any chances. They've won the series already, the Lions. They want to make it all 3. And it's not been done officially since 1927, I don't believe. But back then, there was no Irish involved. It was just the Brits. And it wasn't just Australia either. I think South Africa and possibly even New Zealand were involved at that time. So there's certainly something on the line for that. A full house today in Sydney. No room for sentiment either. There are a couple of players who haven't been involved in the series. So you think, you know, let's go out and have some fun. There's nothing really riding on this. But the coach, Andy Farrell, thinks otherwise. He thinks there definitely is something riding on this. And we have to go for all the hat-trick of victories.
Yeah.
You think, yeah?
I think you do.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think if you're going to achieve some kind of immortality... They've only been the British and Irish Lions, actually, since 2001, so it'll be kind of history in the modern era and some soul-searching as well for Australia if it goes that way. But, as I say, underway from 11 o'clock.
What about some soul-searching for Alexander Isak? Because Liverpool, are they losing interest in him?
I don't know if they're losing interest. They're probably losing interest at £150 million, but their initial offer for the Newcastle striker is 110 plus add-ons. Add-ons are additional payments which are triggered later on in the deal, subject to certain conditions, like once he's played a certain number of games or scored a certain number of goals or earned a certain number of caps for Sweden or played at a World Cup or what have you. So let's see where it goes, because I think that's just an early low-ball offer. The player, though, is getting agitated, I would say. He wants to leave. He sees Newcastle as a stepping stone, and Liverpool will be the next level up. But the fans are angry. I mean, there's a banner being unfurled yesterday in I think it was in Fenton in County Durham, basically he's referring to the guy as a rat, which seems to be a bit harsh, but that's how angry people are locally. They see it as a portrayal. And I always say to players, I've said it since the dawn of time, since I've been involved in journalism, which is since the dawn of time, actually. It feels like it sometimes anyway. I feel that players should take what they can while they can, because it's a short career. The average finishing age is 33. When the club doesn't want you, they'll soon get rid of you. There's no question about that.
Right.
It works
it's
both
a business,
ways.
Isn't it?
It works both ways, exactly. It's a business, and well, that's precisely what it is. And so, I think that he probably will go. Liverpool cleared the decks for him to go. They sold a £65 million player, Luis Diaz, earlier in the week to Bayern Munich. So they're certainly freeing up some funds to make it happen. I just think it's about meeting in the middle now. From Newcastle's point of view, I don't think they really want a player who doesn't want to be there. And it's really hard. Once they've actually crossed that bridge and they've annoyed the fans, it's really difficult to reintegrate a player back into a squad, no doubt about that.
What's happening with the Spurs captain, Son Heung-min?
Son Heung-min, 10 years and out. He's off into the sunset, as we might...
Oh, stop.
Dear.
I saved it till 9 o'clock.
Oh, come on.
So it looks like he's off. They're in Seoul at the minute, which is where he's from South Korea.
Huge loss for the team.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's hugely popular. And he finally lifted a trophy as well. He'd been in the Champions League final in 2019. He'd been in the League Cup final as well. And he said in his speech this morning, which was kind of overnight because they've got some pre-season friendlies over there with Newcastle, funnily enough. They played Arsenal yesterday. And he said, what a place to bow out. And he said he arrived in North London in 2015 as just a boy, unable to speak English, and he very much leaves as a man. And he's been a pleasure to watch, I have to say, over the last 10 years.
He's a nice man, is he?
Oh, without doubt. Yeah, he really is. I mean, I've interviewed him a number of times. He really worked hard on his English. And he even the journalists who come over to see him from South Korea...
that's impressive, isn't it?
He speaks to them in English as well.
Yeah.
Because he wants to practice. He said, if you want to come here and speak to me on my terms, you've got to be speaking English, even though it's not his native tongue. And it's really nice when a player does that.
Yeah.
To make the effort.
Yeah, it's making the effort.
Because it makes a difference for TV, because, translated interviews aren't much good on a televisual medium, are they?
No. Should we... have we got time to have a look at the cricket?
Yes, in action today, England versus India, day 3 of the 5th Test. England... England... Do I get this? Let me get this right. Hang on.
India leading, aren't they?
They are leading, yeah. I'm just trying to work out who's... India resumes today on 72-4-5, I believe it is. So, look, there's still plenty of work to do for England. It's not a batter's wicket. But if they can get it done today, that would be a hell of an achievement. But it's been a really interesting test. But I fancy India to force the draw.
And Emma Raducanu.
Out of the Canadian Open. Yeah, look, she lost against Amanda Anisimova, who got to the Wimbledon final just a few weeks ago. So no mean feat, but she's getting to the 3rd round. She's showing a bit more prowess, a little bit more confidence in herself. This time last year, I think she would have been out in the 1st round. However, we're only a few weeks away from the US Open on a hard surface. Who knows what she can achieve?
All right.
Let's end on a positive, shall we?
Oh, yes, positive. Absolutely. We like a positive.
Exactly.
Good on you. Aidan, thank you very much indeed. I don't know if this is much of a positive for you. Actually, it should be, because these two are a lot of fun. Matthew Torpitt and Charlie Rowley, who will take us through the papers. Before all that, though... That's it, strangle him. Before all that, here's the European forecast.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance, then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst the UK gears up for Storm Floris, it turns increasingly hot in Portugal, although there'll be some heavy rain in Croatia and Italy, particularly the central part of Italy. Thunderstorms expected here, thunderstorms moving through parts of Croatia and Bosnia. But for much of Iberia, it's sunny spells and increased heat. Higher temperatures than average for much of Portugal. And that's expected to continue into the start of next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, just like week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
9:42, let's see what's in the papers. With former Conservative advisor Charlie Rowley and former Labour advisor Matthew Torbett. I was just looking about... I was thinking if we had a list. Have you got a list?
I've got a list.
Oh, well, there you go. Because I was just busy looking about the thing, I don't know who's even starting on this, but it's Charlie.
Is it?
Looking at the
Angela
Times.
Rayner's new office.
Well, yes, exciting news. As the Deputy Prime Minister, she has been able to carve out and earmark an office right in the heart of government in 70 Whitehall, which is the Cabinet Office.
Well, you'd think so.
Well, she is the Deputy Prime
My
Minister,
old haunt.
isn't she?
Well,
Your old haunt.
yes, 70 Whitehall, Cabinet Office, I was there. During COVID, those
Party days, those heady party days, Charlie.
Not
anything nice for her in the drawers then?
by the looks of things,
surprises.
Well, by the looks of things, she's had a complete refurb, new artwork. That's
what sort of artwork has she chosen?
it's a nice neon sign.
What?
Not a neon.
Which says what?
Which says, I think we're always asking for questions or looking for the answers or something like that.
In neon.
Something.
Have we not got
modern.
No.
Yes.
An answer is expected.
An answer's expected.
Oh, yeah, no, you can't really tell.
It looks like that Tracy Emin thing at Liverpool.
It's like a cocktail sign that you'd get over a cocktail bar or something like that, isn't it?
Yes, not what you'd expect, but that's what Angela Rayner is all about.
She obviously
Expect the
likes
unexpected. And when she's declined...
Well, they have an art advisor once you get an office there, don't you? An art advisor comes in and says, sort of, do you want an old master or do you want something from Tate Modern or
do you want something you can plug in?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a bit... I mean, the government has an art collection. I've seen there's a bit of a nasty remark from Reform saying, she should get on with things rather than picking out art. Charlie will know from his time in government, every minister will pick what they want for their office. She has a nice one of the miners on strike, which is very much sort of striking a chord with me. I think that's quite nice.
So the portraits of Margaret Thatcher got taken down.
Well, more than likely, yeah.
storage.
But I think the neon thing is just a bit tat. It's very tat. It's the sort of thing you pick up at furnished car boot sale or something.
I mean, honestly, you're sounding almost far-right adjacent there.
But the substance is that this is a power grab within Whitehall, and she is plotting behind the scenes, no doubt, despite her protestations that she's not going to become Prime Minister or doesn't want it. She is gunning for it.
I don't know if I believe that or not. I mean, it could well be true.
But it's an easy thing to throw at her, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the difficulty with this is she'll be Prime Minister next year. I'm fairly certain of that.
Do you think?
Keir has to go. He's awful.
He's terrible.
He's less popular than I won't even say actually, but
than anyone you can think of.
Yes,
actually.
no,
I mean,
literally.
that's the point, isn't it?
And this is actually my brother brought it up. He watches the news, but he's not as engaged politically as maybe me and Charlie. But he said that what he finds is people either are a bit ambivalent and they don't know what to make of Keir Starmer, maybe don't know what he stands for, or they go, I can't stand him. There's no real love or meeting in the middle with him.
It's very bland.
Yeah, but I think we'll lose Wales and Scotland next year. You've surely got to look at the writing on the wall and go, yeah, we're not going to win with you in charge. Now, whether we win with Angela Rayner is another story, but...
Well, that's right. What do you think of Angela Rayner as a potential leader?
Listen, I like Angela. I grew up on the same estate as Angela. I've known Angela many years. I don't think she does want it. I think she'll end up with it because the unions and other people around her will nudge her to do so.
What about Streeting?
He won't win with the membership. I think he's obviously a very...
Mind you, he's in danger of losing his seat as well.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got such a narrow majority. Yes,
to reform, this is the problem. I think half the cabinet are at risk of losing their seat, but I think it will be, no doubt, a battle for the heart and soul of the Labour Party. I think the only one that could really save Labour is Andy Burnham. Because he's not tied to any of the unpopular decisions that we've made that weren't in the manifesto, and he's popular across all spectrum.
He's a Blairite, though, and that doesn't go down very well with the rest of the party.
No, but I tell you what, Angela Rayner would be more of a threat to Badenoch, would she? Because she is... it's character politics, and whether you agree with her or like her or whatever, she's a character, and she makes Kemi Badenoch look very bland.
Well, I think whatever your politics, you can always respect somebody for having a view and a coherent plan and a coherent vision. So, arguably, I would never support this, obviously, but under Angela Rayner, you will have a plan vision which is to tax more, borrow more, spend more, to fund public services, and there'll be a narrative as to why that is important.
There's got a direction.
There's a direction of travel, even though you can vote against. But what you have under Keir Starmer, as I think Matthew was sort of suggesting, is that you're told, on the one hand, we're not going to raise national insurance contributions, but you must read the small print, and we go and do it. We're going to protect pensioners, then we take away their winter fuel. There's a sort of... There's no direction of travel, there's no coherency, there's no plan, there's no strategy, and they're not doing the things that the public want, they're not doing things that even that they said they were going to do. So there is a real rudderless sense of direction at the moment under Labour. So having someone that people can get behind because they can understand the vision is one thing. That galvanises support in your base, so that would play well to Angela Rayner. That's why Nigel Farage is doing so well. And that's why everyone else in the middle is treading water.
Yeah, it's interesting. Matthew, in the Telegraph this morning, the civil service need more working-class people in there, apparently.
Yeah, I think, well, the working class are always forgotten in this country, unfortunately. And I think, actually, we've seen that because when they push back, you get things like Brexit and you'll get things like potentially a reform government. And I think those that have ruled us for quite some time, which I would call the elite, I know it's sort of somewhat of a populist term, but they are, certainly towards the upper end of the civil service, have misunderstood what is needed in this country.
Well, they don't understand who lives in this country.
Well, no, exactly, and I think that's why there is an argument, whether it be targeted or otherwise, for more working-class people in politics, in the civil service, and those that I think potentially have a real understanding of the policies they aim to pass, because it would have made... How would it have affected their mum and dad? Because it would have done, compared to those where, you know, it might not have touched the sides for some of them. So I'm sort of tentatively for this, because the system that we've had for quite some time arguably hasn't worked for the majority of the country, I would say, and this is where we are now. We can see it from the way that people feel. why not offer a bit of a change and offer this is a sort of an element of DEI I could certainly support, and I think we need class is something we forget about when it comes to things like diversity. It's totally diversity of thought and class.
Yeah, diversity of thought I think is important.
I just think this is totally the wrong approach. You know, there is horses for courses and different strokes for different folks, whichever way you want to sort of badge it up in. It's nothing to do with class. I think there is absolutely an element of a lacking of diversity of people from different backgrounds within the civil service. That's the fault of the civil service in the recruitment process. But do I want someone just plucked from a particular pool drafting policy on something that is quite, you know, like the economy, you know, something that's quite important,
Well,
something that
because
hasn't got the
working class
skills.
people don't understand the economy.
But there is
you can only
Judge them
understand
on
the
their class, judge them on their merit, surely.
an understanding of if they're
only posh people understand the economy, Charlie.
No, because you can be working class and go to.
Never said that.
Exactly, you can be working class if that's how you describe yourself.
very
You can
naughty.
go to university. You can get a degree in economics. You know, working class people do go to university as well, Stephen, and that's
do.
part
I know,
of this.
I did it.
But that's part of this. So it's not about picking on people for being a particular background. It's getting the best people for the job. But the problem that we have in the civil service is the kinds of jobs. There are too many policy jobs. There are too many thinkers and not enough doers. And I want to see people that are able to do the operational things, the drivers, the people that actually get things done, rather than a group of people that like to sit around debating and groupthink. That is the difference. But those are the kinds of jobs that need to be created. It's not about class. It's about merit and getting the right people.
I hear the argument, but it's the same argument we get when we talk about we want the best calibre of MPs. It always seems to be those that have already been on big salaries and as if they know everything. And actually, I'd argue that working class people probably know how to budget better than most other people because they've always had to. That's the unfortunate reality for lots of people up and down the country.
But this doesn't do anything to fix that. This is about graduates also. We're not talking about people that have gone to university or haven't. You know, this whole civil service is about people that are graduates anyway. But you can only be from a working class background if you're a graduate versus some. You know, that is what's going to get you these internships and these summer placements. So
I think looking outside of university graduates wouldn't be a bad idea as well, actually. I agree on that. The idea that you will have had to have done the 3 years as well. You might already be gravitating towards a certain different type of class. And obviously, as said in the story, it's very tricky to describe class, especially if you're going off what your parents did at a certain age. Because what does that really mean in the grand scheme of things as well? So, no, but it's a welcome idea and thought, and I don't know, let's see if it bears fruit or not. I don't know.
Meanwhile, much more important is becoming a volunteer duck warden.
Sorry, what?
Charlie, what's going on?
Well,
You've been doing it, Charlie.
We talked about Japanese walking, forgive me, earlier on. We're now talking about duck walking.
Excellent.
So there are. It
Duck
was
wardening.
duck wardens, yes, and it was National Yorkshire Day, wasn't it? Yesterday.
It was,
so
yes.
Celebrating all the great things about Yorkshire. This, I'm afraid. Whether you want to celebrate it or not, I think it's probably a bit low down the pecking order.
Very good.
Where there is a job for people who volunteers who escort these little ducks.
But, you know, that's true. If you live in the country, and I used to, and I had a duck pond in the front garden, I mean, a proper duck pond where ducks came and they had families, you'd start off and you'd think, oh, isn't it wonderful? You've got a family of about 11 little ducklings. Every night, the number count would go down by about, you know, one or two per night.
Fox had...
Either foxes,
Or cars,
Cars, yeah. So it's very important because they like to go walking.
Well, they do, and they've roosted in a car park in West Yorkshire, Thirsk in North Yorkshire, and so they've moved from the river to the car park, and there are wardens. Very nice.
Well, I think that's very, very
sort of
important.
watch them
and escort them.
And escort them. So
You see, I think that's really nice.
It is. It's lovely.
I think it's really British and lovely.
Yeah.
Don't you, Matthew?
Yeah, I reckon it's probably our job, though. I moved out to a sort of more rural area, and there's a pond near us, and there's loads of ducks. They leg it off. They're terrified of you. So they'll do well to get them in line, I think, about how these wardens go about it. But, yeah, no, it's sweet. It's nice.
I think they need to get out more.
All right.
Can't be
You
that
too.
mean.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Sort of, yeah. No, it's been lovely. Thank you very much for being with us right now. Saturday Morning Live next with Tatiana and Alex, who I think are here to tell us all about it.
Hello, yes, thank you, Stephen. And we've got a really big show coming up for you. All that Donald Trump news today. He's sending nuclear warships to Russia. Tatiana.
Yes, he is, yes. We'll also be talking about, we'll have a debate on the fact that should working class people be given priority when it comes to internships in the civil service?
That's right, all that coming up after your weather.
Expect a warm front
moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Floris arrives on Monday, but this weekend at least starts fine with sunny spells for many of us before some rain moves in overnight. Always the possibility of the odd shower across parts of eastern England through the day. Mostly, though, it's going to be a dry day. Sunny spells, yes, but a lot of cloud around as well, so not wall-to-wall sunshine by any stretch of the imagination. And it's going to feel pleasant out there, even if temperatures aren't especially high. Average for the time of year, 24 Celsius in the south, 21 further north. Here's the cloud and rain as it thickens in the northwest, end of the afternoon going into the evening. But ahead of that, much of the cloud thins and disappears, so plenty of fine weather going into the evening. Still warm with light winds out there if you've got Saturday evening plans. It's looking pretty decent across the whole of the UK. One exception, that rain starting to move into the Outer Hebrides. It's going to be light and patchy at first before some heavier stuff arrives overnight. And really, much of the wet weather turns up after dark, I think, into the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, on and off throughout much of the evening, but then turning heavier, more persistent after midnight. It spreads across much of Scotland, pushes into northern and western England as well as Wales, and it's going to be a mild night for most of us with temperatures holding up in the mid-teens. We do start off Sunday with some sunshine across East Anglia and the southeast, but this weather system is quick to topple southeastwards across the UK. A heavy spell of rain for northern England, North Wales, more showery for South Wales into southwest England, and then it moves into the Midlands, East Anglia, and eventually the southeast by the afternoon. Brighter skies further north with a few showers before it turns very windy as Storm Floris hits on Monday.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Let us take on some of your financial stresses and pay your mortgage or rent for the next 12 months. We want to give you a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an unbelievable £20,000. We'll also boost that by a further £5,000, so you really could have some fun in the coming year. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the